just for everyone's information, we do have public comment at the end on agenda item number 10. If you want to hold your comments till then, but we welcome public comment now. If you don't want to wait that long, that's fine too. Feel free to come up and say your piece. Anybody online?
No.
All right. Seeing none, we're going to move on to correspondence. We did get an email from Ms. Lewis today. And I think, there is going to be a library discussion tonight as agenda item number 6. We do have your questions, some of which I think are more properly directed to the library. And I think I would, the library did present to us on October 15th, which would be on our YouTube channel. Okay. Hopefully that would help with some of your questions, Ms. Lewis. But certainly, after our regular library discussion, you're welcome to have public comment after that, or we might actually open it up to comment during that if it's appropriate. Anything to add that we want to add to the agenda? I think we're all pretty good, right? Okay. Anybody have any correspondence, Bobby? Any correspondence you want to talk about?
No, I did it last night at my meeting. We're good.
Okay. Make sure you're speaking to the mic so people can hear you, okay? Particularly online. Instruction. On to agenda item number 5 with the budget presentations. Got Trooper McCarthy on the flock camera. Yep.
Yes. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me. Present is myself, Jason McCarthy. I'm one of the residents in town. I've been here since 2018. And to my left is Lieutenant Dawn Pagan, commanding officer of Troop E Montville. So I'm here tonight to speak about flock cameras, and I wanted to thank Bob for letting me come here and just to shed some light on some of the technology that's out there that is helpful to law enforcement. I believe it's back in maybe early spring. Bob and I had gone to a meeting put on by Flock, and Flock is
Trooper McCarthy. I'm sorry, just to make sure the mic is coming at you, and if you're going to look at everybody, you got to stay real close to that. Okay. Otherwise, the people online are going to have a hard time hearing you.
Can everybody hear me now?
I think that's perfect.
Good.
Yep.
Okay. So back in early spring of last year, Bob and I went to a meeting that was put on by Flock in the town of Rocky Hill. And you're asking what Flock is. Flock is if you go into certain towns, you might notice attached to certain poles, it's an automated license plate reader, which collects data, motor vehicle data, license plates, date and time, which is time stamped, basic vehicle attributes, make and model of a vehicle, and which is all observed from public roadways. And you might be asking, like, why does this? Why do you want this? Well, a lot of times we're realizing that when people commit crimes, they're in vehicles, and it helps track where these vehicles went. You might have hit and runs. We have a plate, but we don't know where this vehicle went. If they happen to pass through this particular area where the camera is, it's going to give us a time and a date when that vehicle that may have hurt somebody, we have an idea where that vehicle is, so we can mobilize people to get to the area quickly. Maybe not find that vehicle the day after. it also helps us. Maybe there's a crime was committed, we can find a wanted person. It's not only for criminal. A lot of times I've seen in my career that it's also used for civil alerts. And you might be asking, why is that? Well, a lot of times we have seniors who might get into a car and they start driving. And we have a plate, but that's all we have is a plate. And they might be heading southbound into the state of Connecticut. We don't know where they are. Sometimes they might go into a specific town. So certain towns that neighbor us, Groton, town of Groton, Stonington, Preston, Norwich, the state of Norwich, Lisbon, have these cameras in place. And if they hit on one of these cameras, we can tell where this vehicle went. So we have a good idea where they're going to be. And not only for silver alert, but also someone for amber alerts as well. So I don't want you to think that it's just for criminals, but it's also helps in silver alert incidents and also amber alerts. I think the biggest thing is what it does not do. It does not collect names, addresses, phone numbers, driver identity, other identifiers, or personal information. I'm not here to spy on you people. I'm here to protect you. That's why I'm here tonight. I think that's the biggest thing is people like, oh, he's spying us. No, I'm not here to spy on you. I don't have the time for that. My biggest concern is I want to make sure that people that come in to our town, residents, your family members, your loved ones, the children, people that spend money in the towns during the season are safe, because that's what it's for, public safety. What's the benefits? We are a rural town, approximately 55 square miles, 5,100 people, one guy during the day, one guy at night. And we have also other troopers that can't help, but I'm here during the day. It's 24/7 monitoring. So when I'm not here, that camera is actively working in case something happens. If something, the good thing about the cameras, okay, is that information shared. So I can tell you what happened one day. I happened to be sitting at the Rotary. This particular car happened to hit off a camera in Norwich. It was a stolen motor vehicle. So it took about 15 minutes, and here comes that vehicle. It was a pickup truck. It was a work truck. Gentleman went around the Rotary. He pulled in the Gulf station. I was there with him, the trooper, and within minutes, he was under arrest. Okay, and that's because he had passed that vehicle. That plate was entered as stolen. Okay, he had gone through a camera, and Norwich was able to contact Troop E, and I happened to be in the right place at the right time. And that person was under arrest. We contacted the victim, and he got his work truck back. Other instances have been having to be at the Welcome Center, and one particular night, having to see a vehicle from New Jersey. It was an older person there, and she didn't look right. So I go up and started talking to her. Come to find out, she'd been missing for 36 hours. 36 hours. It would have been nice to have that information if she had passed into a town or some area where we could have been notified a lot sooner. So once again, I'm not here to spy on you, because I think that's what a lot of people are concerned about. Estimated cost, I had spoke to a representative from Flock yesterday. Her name is Christine Donahue. And I told her that I was going to give a presentation tomorrow, and I just wanted some information on how much it costs. The camera's $3,000, and I asked, well, are there any hidden costs? And she says there's the camera costs $3,000, and then there's another fee of probably $1,100, and that's on the high side for the hardware, the maintenance, the cloud storage, and the software. And you might say, okay, well, how long is this good for? Well, the software is good for 30 days in case, unless we need it for an investigation where we could flag it and it would be kept for a longer period of time. I think a lot of people are, once again, concerned about privacy. And like I said, we are not here to spy on you. We're here to help you out, protect you. That's what my concern is. When I hear what goes on in other towns and in other states, I cringe, because I don't want to see that happen in the town that I serve, in the town I live in. Bob, you know that. There's a lot of great things where a town like North Sterling could benefit. Like I said, police coverage, we don't have that many troopers out here. I'm here during the day. It's a large area to cover. It's nice to know that we have this resource in case we need it down the road. When you look at this area is very unique. Down the street, we have Foxwoods, and then past that, we have Mohegan Sun, Route 2, Norwich, Wesley. Gets very busy in the summertime. Right down the street, we have 95. This technology is out there to help the police, but also to help the towns. And what I'm asking is that we look at this and hopefully we can get a couple of cameras. I know that we can't get a lot. Okay. I know the cameras are expensive. The figures are right there. I think a town this size, it's calling for 8 to 12 cameras. I'm just asking for 1 or 2 to protect the citizens, their loved ones, the schools, the people that come in here. That's what I'm here for. I never asked for anything. That's why I'm here today. I think this is very important that we take a look at this. And the town's growing. Every single day, this town's growing, right? There's a lot of stuff going on, which is great, right? That's fantastic. But the PD's not. Okay. Folks, I'm not just here to come here and say we need this. I've been on the state police for 26 years. 26 years I've been on the road. I can tell you how much this town has grown, the surrounding areas, and Troop E. All right. We need this as a partnership. That's what I'm here for. My door is always open, as is Dawn's. And I just hope that you can consider this and you can understand why I'm here tonight. Okay. I'm always here for you guys. And if there's any questions, please let me know. If there's any questions now, you please ask. I spoke to Flock and she said that the representative said if there's anything that she could do, they'd love to come down here and talk more if need be. Other towns have this. Preston has 3 of them. Okay. Lisbon has a bunch of them. Bob, you were there that day. I believe it's Prospect. Selectman Abrazu is his name. I think they have 18. I mean, there's a reason they're buying these cameras is because they work. There's a tool that they have. It's a useful tool. And I can't stress enough, this tool is not to spy on anybody. I don't care how many times Bob goes up Route 201 and makes a left-hand turn to Norwich, right? Norwich Wesley. I don't care about that. Northwest Corner Road. All right. My concern is the safety of this town, the people that are in it, the people that visit, their loved ones and their families. Thanks.
Mike, question, statement?
Yeah, Bob.
So this was on the budget last year and I did budget for 2, $3,000 a piece plus setup charge. It's a one-time setup charge. I think what happened was by me doing this last year, not having the knowledge that both Lieutenant Pagano has or Trooper McCarthy, I wasn't able to answer some of the questions. And one of them was a concern that private citizens could get a hold of these cameras and kind of keep an eye on what we want to keep an eye on. Misinformation, but I could not combat it because I wasn't tuned into what this is all about. Since that's happened, we've had some incidences around a hit and run on Route 2, issues that have happened in other towns. And Jay says, is there any way we can put this back in the budget this year? I said, only if you come and talk about it this year, because I can't do it. Because I can't explain it the way he can or Lieutenant Pagano can. So it's in the budget for around a little over $7,000. It's again, we're pretty much the only town around, maybe Valentine's another one that doesn't have them, but pretty much anyone on the Foxwoods corridor has them and they're there for a reason. So that's why I put them back in. It's not a large investment. It would help the troopers out quite a bit, I think, as far as solving crimes. The thing is, what if something happened in our town and we're looking for this person, but this person's already halfway to New York, but we're spending time running around our zone looking for this person, but he or she's not here anymore. So if the camera picks them up and they're halfway down Route 95 on the way to New York, we're not going to spend time looking in the neighborhoods in North Stonington for this person. Vice versa, we think the person's somewhere else and he or she is in our town, we can find that out more quickly. So I'm looking to get 2 cameras on the Route 2 corridor somewhere. Again, they're not for detecting of speed, not to give out tickets, not to give out violations. It's pretty much what Trooper McCarthy explained it was for. So that's why I am promoting to put this back in the budget this year. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Jason,
Yes, sir.
Oh,
one, two, yep. Maintenance and repair if damaged, who's fixes that? Is that on the town or on the flock themselves?
Okay, so I had asked that question and I said, what happens? She goes, if you guys break the camera, it's on you. Say if a vehicle strikes the pole and it gets damaged, then the insurance, that's,
Insurance is set up, does it?
yes.
Okay, the other
Okay.
question, is there a yearly cost for each camera after the fact they're installed?
I believe it's $3,000 and that's why Kristen Donahue said if you need any more information,
Yep.
I will gladly get you that, but that's why I had put that in there. The 3,000 is for the camera itself, and I believe it was $3,000
Every
each
year?
year. Yes.
Every year after?
And the 1,100 was for the maintenance, the iCloud and that type of stuff.
Would that be every year too, or the 3,000 you think?
I
would-
think it's just, and I, don't quote me on that, but I think
won't.
it's just the 3,000, I believe.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Jason.
Yes, sir.
Jason, with
Yes, ma'am.
only two,
Mhm.
because you're saying a town of our size, 8 to 12 would be realistic. If only two are approved, where would you put them?
Well, you want to put them where they have the highest traffic, okay? And I've been thinking about that a lot. People know where the cameras are, right? People know that, right? Bad people are smart, right? If they just apply themselves in other ways, but make a lot of money. And what I'm saying is they know that those cameras are out there. And so I maybe have one on Route 2. And the reason I believe Preston has one on Route 2 because you want them. What happens is when the camera hits off another camera, they can speak to each other. And so it goes into Preston. Now we know, okay, now it's in the town of Preston. Just like Bob said, we're not looking in our town, we're looking somewhere else. And like I said, that vehicle happened to come into Norwich, was at the Rotary. Once it left Norwich, Preston at the time did not have those cameras. I had no idea where it was going. Okay. I just took a shot. Maybe he's going straight down and that's where he went. So you want to put him maybe down exit 93, right? There's a hot spot right there. There's a lot going on right there. There's no footage. I mean, there's cameras and other in the businesses, but I would say maybe the Rotary, maybe Route 2, maybe exit 93 area. I know that stuff costs money. That's why I said I like to have something's better than nothing. God forbid something happens on the road. At least we have some type of resource that can help out.
I have a question for either one of you. The tribe from Mashantucket, that stretch of Route 2 there, that's owned by the state, correct?
Yeah, that's so we cover up to a certain portion, then the town of Legend does, and then it's the town of Preston. I believe it's at the light where that I think they used to call it Lot 10, right before Dunkin' Donuts. That's where Preston would pick up.
Okay.
And as you're going up the hill, to the left, you have Winnichog. That's where, and I believe it's the first right, that's where the town of North Stonington ends. Okay, and that's where Legend takes over.
Okay, I just didn't know if there was an opportunity to partner with the tribe to see if they would be willing to partner with us to.
So it's a state road. The tribe doesn't own any part of that road. So since it's a state road, I would say they probably wouldn't. Maybe I get a good question for Ed, since he works for the tribe, but that's not, we hadn't asked, but it was, I didn't think they would ask them for a $7,000. We already get $853,000 in the Pequot Fund each year, so.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I just also want to add to, when you look at other avenues, I know in our patrol area, I kind of have a good idea what's going on in North Stonington. We've recorded vehicles traveling the wrong way on the highway. A lot of times, years ago, vehicles going the wrong way on 395. Well, without that, we have no idea, right? With the cameras, we have a good idea where it is, where it is. Okay. It's just another avenue that how important these cameras are.
I have one more question. Bob, you mentioned speeding, that it's not specifically to catch
It's
speeders.
not.
God only knows we have an issue with that and everybody wants a speed hump. maybe not everybody, but we've certainly had a lot of requests. But that is absolutely not something,
No, it's not.
somebody in town sees somebody going an unbelievable amount of speed but we would not look back and.
No, that does not do that. If someone sees someone speeding, they should call 911. That's what they
Okay.
do.
Thanks.
So I have a quick question
ma'am.
about just like how this thing actually works, because just the quick overview says that it's logging license plates as like
That's
the
correct.
vehicles are going
That's
by.
correct.
So if it doesn't know exactly what it's looking for as the vehicle goes by, so if a crime happened in Stonington and the vehicle is already passed before we know what it's looking for, like how does it alert you? Like if the car has passed
Mhm.
and it's 45 minutes later that you now know that's the car you're looking for. How does the system, is it like AI? Is there somebody managing the data behind the scenes that alerts that, okay, that car went through your town and we haven't seen it hit Preston, so it's somewhere in North Stonington? Like, how does it actually work when it's tracking the vehicle information?
Okay, so from what I understand, I don't know if you can. Yeah, sure.
Jay, I actually can answer that. I learned something at that meeting we went to. So it is logging, and let's say the car is a small black sedan with a bumper sticker on the back bumper. The plate was partially blocked. You couldn't see the plate. The computer then, and while we're in this meeting, it was, I don't know where we were, Groton or somewhere. We were watching actually live footage from San Diego, California. It's a national camera situation, but there's the computers, and they'll say to the computer, small black car, bumper sticker, right hand, passenger side, rear. It starts going through, finding every little black car that might have that bumper sticker in the Connecticut area. And it zones in on, oh, that car went through that camera at 9 a.m. this morning, which was an hour ago, heading west.
So there has to be humans that are intercepting with the data to do these searches. Is that
Yeah,
what's happening?
they have, what I saw was almost like a NASA, like a headquarters of people monitoring these computers.
Just to be clear, that's our dispatchers that are conducting a search. So
It's
if
the
we're
state police
notified-
dispatchers?
correct.
Okay.
So if we're notified, if Stonington contacts us and they notify us that a bank robbery occurred and they give us a suspect vehicle description, they'll notify us over the radio. We get that description. Our dispatcher or state police dispatcher will enter that information into the Flock database, and they can go and they can search those within those parameters to see, did that hit off any of the Flock cameras? It's a network, so it's not unique to, oh, hey, they essentially have a map and it shows where the cameras are located, which is also something that should be taken into consideration when you're determining where you want to place your cameras, because you want to maximize your investment, if you will. And certainly, I mean, we understand what the challenges are in terms of being able to try and intervene on some of these situations. You have, whether it's someone coming in from another state, which we happen quite frequently, especially we're in such close proximity to Rhode Island. We get a ton of traffic from Massachusetts coming down to the casino. I mean, I don't know if I can expand enough on emphasizing that between Jay and I mean, I've been in law enforcement. I've been a police officer for 23 years with my state police time, and I worked for the town of Smithfield in Rhode Island for 7.5 years. So we're not just a younger generation coming and talking to you. We have a great deal of experience. I've worked in this town. I've worked for Troop E for a long time. I've worked here as a trooper, a sergeant, and now I'm the barracks commander. And if I can implore on you that I think that for what you're getting, should you choose to make this investment in the safety of your community, I think it's exponential. Recognizing what we see on the news every day, and I think that we've seen that in other states where that lens and that scrutiny is brought down upon those governments and communities where, questions are then asked after the fact of, why didn't you have enough cameras? Why wasn't this done? And I think that's important to take into consideration, especially if you're looking at a dollar amount, you need to look on the other side of that, which is the liability factor. So this for us, and I cannot express enough that this gives us such a great advantage It has to be justified. It's not like you can just go and put that information in. Everything is tracked as far as who's using it. This is not AI. This is something that helps us with everyday cases, not just the big cases, but the smaller ones that we deal with every day. Domestic disturbance, when we have a suspect that flees from a residence after they assaulted their spouse. When you have someone with dementia who we had one, she drove up into Foster, Rhode Island, and we were able to locate her because of the flock system. So, I mean, I cannot implore enough that these cameras are definitely a worthwhile investment. I really hope that your community chooses to take advantage of that. I know that I did meet with Voluntown and that this is something they're exploring as well. Again, close proximity to the state line. So I think, we're starting to see those changes come around. And I know if you have any questions, again, Kristen Donahue from Flock is more than willing to help out with any of that information.
I have a couple just follow-up questions. I remember from last year that there was, I don't know if it was a purchase fee, like we actually had to buy the cameras and then the annual fee was in addition, or if it was an installation fee. So I don't like on this very helpful proposal for consideration. I see the annual fee. Do we know what I don't know if it's a purchase fee or an installation fee?
So when I spoke to Kristen yesterday, I said, can you break it down? She says $3,000 for the camera, then $1,100. So it says it right there. It's for the maintenance, the iCloud storage, the hardware, and the software access. I said, what else? Any hidden cost? She goes, that's it.
So the 1,100,
That takes care of the hardware, the maintenance, the cloud storage, and the software access. And I wish Kristen was here to elaborate because that's
Yeah.
their thing. And she's not, but she said if you need any other information, and I don't want to take a lot of time, but that's what she had said. So that's
Okay.
what I'm just passing on.
so maybe we can just pass a follow-up question. I just wanted to understand what the one-time cost is.
Yeah,
versus the annual cost.
these are gonna be questions when Bob puts it on his budget.
Sure.
We'll know what it is, and I had the same question. I figured we could move on from here. This was much, we know that Bob tried last year, and there's hopefully everyone in the audience were able to get this, because there was a lot of questions about, who has access to this? I mean, in the political climate that we have, I'm sure that's, on a lot of people's minds, is there federal government access?
And that's no, sir.
So these are good points to have, and we appreciate you coming out tonight, and we'll certainly give it a lot of consideration.
I appreciate the time and thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Volunteer Fire Company.
All right, good evening. How you doing?
Good, Chief. Thanks for being here.
So you all have the packet of our itemized budget. I do also have a PowerPoint, which I'll hit the PowerPoint at the end of the presentation after we go through the budget. That's specific to one line item, which is the per diem staffing line. So you see our budget package is the previous 2 years and current this year operating line. Our operating budget this year is going up $485. Would you like me to go through line by line on that, or would you like, you're good with
I
that?
don't think we need to do that.
Okay. We'll move down to the fixed charges. You'll see the insurance line is a $9,000 increase. No, sorry, the $9,000 increase. Again, through the insurance company, they give us the 10% every year, say increase 10%. We're asking 8 months before we're actually implementing the program. So they always say add 10%. We all know it typically comes in a lot lower than that. With the fire company it's a fixed charge. If we don't spend it, the town gets the money back. If it doesn't go anywhere else, it comes back to the town once we've paid that bill.
Chief, real quick, Where are we looking at these numbers? Sorry.
Should be your,
Yeah, Bob gave us a packet at the last meeting.
You guys can share that with everybody.
Did you lay it out?
No, I gave it to you at the last meeting, Kyle.
Yeah, it looks like this.
are we able to put it up there then? Or do we have it there to put on the screen, I guess, if they don't have it?
No. No, they have hot, everyone should have a hard copy.
We have it. We got it last week.
I memorized it, so you can have mine.
Thank you.
All right, so that's the insurance line. You'll see our length of service awards line is, it's low SAP is going down a little bit. Again, that program you'll start seeing is going down. That's been a sunsetted program. It's no longer going to be after, the existing members are in it. We're no longer going to be, adding new people. So you should see that number start trending down and moving forward in budgets. So this is a small decrease this year, but over the next few years, you should see a more significant decrease. Then the retention compensation program, that's the pay per call, remained the same at $56,000. And the medical R1 responses remain the same at $8,000. So the increase from last year, we went from 151,450 to 156,000, sorry, even. Basically, that is due to insurance costs.
Okay, and so I'm sorry, because I was fumbling for my packet, which I
Nope,
had
that's fine.
already put in my binder, which I lost. So the insurance coverage, the level of insurance is not changing. It's just the premium for that same insurance
Correct.
has increased. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Well, we're anticipating, they always say do 10%. It might not be 10, we're assuming it won't be. So when the bill comes in, again, whatever remains in that account, the town will get back at the end of the year.
And that covers you and the ambulance.
Correct. Then you have the staffing line. Moving past that is the staffing line is a separate line in the budget. So under the town budget, the fire company operating is one line. Obviously, fixed charges are their own lines. B2614 is the staffing. Last year was 131,898. This year, with just 3% raises, would be 151,410. What we're requesting this year is going from that to 420,000 to go from Monday to Friday daytime coverage to 24/7 coverage, which I can go into the PowerPoint now of explaining why we feel we need to do this.
Why don't you just get through the whole thing and then we'll
Yeah,
circle
the
back.
The capitals, the last section we have. This year, no change in turnout gear, remained $28,000. Rescue equipment replacement, 20,000 flatlined. The rescue truck replacement, again, this is, how many years, Bob? Is this a second year, but it's what, for 10 years? Yep. And then you have the Hearst tool replacement line went to zero. Then the next line you see is radio upgrade. It's $25,000 for the next 4 years to replace our radios to the digital system. It's the state system that all our neighboring departments have gone to. It basically allows us to, better coverage and more interoperability with departments around us. Right now, Stonington's going to it, Groton's on it, Ledyard's any day now to it, Norwich is on it, Mashantucket's could be moving to it. With that system, it's way better coverage, and without it, we're sort of left in the dark. We're not able to talk to people then. So that is, we're going to be starting to phase in those new radios into the system, which makes better interoperability with our new dispatch center. They've moved into that direction where they're starting to upgrade all their stuff going to the digital system on that state system. So
Mike, there's no difference in this capital plan and the approved capital plan we've already done. The numbers are the same.
Okay. Including the radios?
Yes. Yep, they're in this year.
So, Chief, I thought I guess I didn't memorize this part of the packet. Are you able to buy all of the radios or do you, it's gonna, you're buying them like four to
Yeah, this is only.
one
gonna-
quarter at a time?
Yeah, this is only good, this $100,000 gives you about 20 portables. Does not replace truck radios, does not do that. So currently, we have loaned radios from the state of Connecticut we're using. They brought down to us because our low band system that we're operating on is failing. So our radio system is on its last legs. So they've given us portables that we have one in each fire truck, and each officer has one, or each chief officer has one. So it allows me to stand anywhere I need to on a digital system and talk to dispatch. Along with our other radios that we use on the fire ground, which are radio to radio communications, because on scene, we talk radio to radio. We don't want to go through a repeated system or anything like that, because there's too many lines of failure. It's been studies and showing that you want radio to radio communication. But our link to dispatch and talking to other dispatch centers, as well as our other mutual aid partners, are all on that new system. So by at least getting us this first phase, it puts one radio in every truck and every officer to be able to talk to mutual aid partners and other dispatch centers, including ours.
Okay.
It's gonna be a multi-year phasing in of this, because I don't even want to give you a number. We're actually met today with the vendors on it. Like, you need to build us a roadmap, how to get 100% on this eventually, and give me the numbers, because I know I'm not coming to you and asking you for $1 million for a radio system. I know it's not going to happen. So we need to figure out how we're going to fiscally do this, be responsible with how we implement this new radio system down the road. So that's what we're currently working on. This is phase one. Hopefully next year, I might be able to come back with another step to get us moving forward. So over the next 3 to 4 years, we could have that system in place.
My question is, like, are you only getting $25,000 worth of radios, or are we getting $100,000 worth of
So I
radios?
was, again, that's my understanding, was we would do $100,000 with the radios and finance it for the 4 years, like we've done with other things, buy it up front and then finance it, and the payment is $25,000 a year. Again, I need guidance on that. Are we going to do it that way, or am I going to wait 4 years to buy the first batch of radios? So,
Mike, it's in the capital plan as 4 years in a row, $25,000 right now. That's the way we put it in our plan.
Yeah.
We'll have to discuss on how we're gonna go out using it, how we're gonna spend the money to do it. But right now, it's 4 consecutive years. So whether we finance it and use that as payments, or whether we go 4 years of savings and then buy them in 4 years, that would have to be a discussion. But it is in the 5-year capital plan.
Mike, can I ask a
Please.
Chief, the radio system, which is all electronic and digital, if for some reason that was to go down, are you guys still able to communicate amongst yourselves with your old radios here in town? In other words, would you be able to retain that
if the
system for
digital system
backup?
fails,
Yes.
yes. So our current dispatch center has put in multiple links into our one tower in town on
Yep.
Winchog. So they put a VHF, a low band, and an 800 band radio system to make sure they connect to us. So if one link goes down, we can flip to another one. They're not as reliable as the state system is, but we can still get dispatched. We still hear the call. We might have to go sit in the truck and talk on the radio dispatch. I can't use my portable on scene, but there's just those options. So they've ensured very well that they will have communication with us.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, if we have to do this in stages, what's the impact in having multiple or 2 different radios in the fleet? What's the
Yeah,
impact?
so
to-
no matter what, we're gonna have to have 2 radio systems. Because currently, a lot of the Connecticut departments are gonna be going 800 band, but the Rhode Island departments are staying on VHF. We were heavily rely on Rhode Island departments to come in mutual aid in North Stonington, and we go to them. So we're gonna have to maintain the VHF side of the system. So the radios will be dual band radios. There'll be 800 band VHF radios. So there'll be both frequencies in that one radio. But moving forward, it is, when we're on 800 band, we have to still maintain the tower in town as dual band. So that, say, Ashaway or Hope Valley comes in North Stonington, they only have VHF radios. They sign on, it hits our tower, then it goes from our tower to us or to our dispatch center. So we always got to maintain that ability
Okay.
in town so mutual aid can talk to us.
Okay, thanks.
So if we had to do this in a 4-year stage to give you the 100,000, would you have access to those state loaned radios in the meantime?
Probably not. They're being very nice to us right now, letting us use them until we figure out something. They're loaners. They're not long-term loaners. So we had the issue, they came down with 12 portables and said, we're going to keep you running. That's what they did. The anticipation was we would figure something out by the next fiscal year of how we're going to get at least ourselves back on our feet with that system and then move forward. So with that, with what they gave us, if we replace it ourselves, that's about that price. It gets us to where we currently are in the radio system using it. And then moving forward down the years, we'd have to plan for the additional radio upgrades. Like when we do vehicle replacements, we replace radios. So the rescue truck, when it comes in 4 years from now, that'll have new radios. It'll have a digital radio in it. So it's built into the replacement of trucks. So that's a couple radios we don't need to buy because it's going to come with the new truck. We spec that in there when the new truck comes in. So there's a couple things because on average, those radios are about $6,000 a piece, just the one radio. So that is, they're expensive. But that's why we have to budget for them. Can't just buy them any day. So.
All right, I'm sorry if I feel like I'm thick-headed here. So if we budget in, and we have it budgeted in for 25,000, can you buy 4 radios in this fiscal year?
Yep.
Yes?
I could, yes. And then it's gonna take 4 years to get us to where we currently are today. So we would possibly lose the capabilities that the state's allowed us, because I don't know how long they're gonna let us use the loaner radios for.
You have 4 loaners right
I
now.
have 12.
You have 12.
Yes, they gave us 12 loaner radios, and they're in the ambulances and the fire trucks, and the 3 chief officers have them. That's what we're using right now. And one ambulance currently doesn't have a radio in it. It's depending on that portable to run the medical calls right now. They sign on with it and everything with that radio. So we've heavily relied on that system they gave loaned to us right now.
So are you okay with us budgeting this for 4 years to be able to purchase all of these?
No, my intention was I was hoping you would finance it, purchase them all in July and finance them over the next 4 years so that we get them now. And then the money's in there. So we're not waiting 4 years to replace an aged radio system. It starts in, because again, no matter what, say we're approved in July, it takes up to a month for the radios to get ordered. Then we have to have the state program then, which takes another month to 2 months before it. So no matter what, it takes 3 to 4 months before we can even use these radios because there's a backlog of the state, because the state's got to create the code plug to program the radios. And there's a backlog in those right now.
Okay. So these that you buy, does a company that you buy them from have a financing plan?
I'm not sure. We've used that municipal finance company before for other equipment like air packs and stuff. There are options you can use. I can research some, or I could reach out to that company because they offer plans. They could get the white glove plan where they'll come in and replace every single radio in your department and charge you an annual fee every year. And they'll maintain your system for you. There's options of that too. So I don't know that number. One time we did it, I think 5, 6 longer ago, they wanted 50 grand a year to maintain a radio system.
Okay.
We weren't willing to accept that at the time. So this is sort of where we're at, is starting to phase in a new radio system. Maybe down the road, it would be a good idea to get into one of these programs where they own them, they maintain them. We just pay a fee every year. And if the radio breaks, they replace them. They ensure they work for us. So that's something we might have to look into in the future.
Question, Mike. So Chief, you've got 12 radios on loan.
Yep.
And you told us where they are.
Yep.
The fire trucks, the ambulances, and the officers' vehicles. You're asking what, for 24?
No, this should be about the same as there were, no, yes, sorry. It's the vehicles and plus all the officers. So not just the 3 chiefs will have them, all the line officers and the ambulance officers will have them. So every fire apparatus, because right now the fire officers have mobile radios in their vehicles. This would replace the mobile and they would use a portable. We would no longer be using mobile radios in their cars. They'd all be going to portables because on the 800 band system, I can sign on for anywhere with this outside. You can't be in buildings because they don't work very well inside of big buildings. That's a whole other thing. But if you're outside, that's why it's a command radio. Command is outside. When you're outside, you can talk to dispatch, all the other trucks coming in, as well as anything that's going on. Your fireground channels are radio to radio, which are the people, firefighters inside the building. They're going to remain on the VHF channels. They work better inside of buildings.
So if we decide to finance these with your help to do some investigating over 4 years, and the payment's going to be roughly $25,000 a year, which does not exceed our capital plan already. But there's interest involved.
Right.
So I guess I'm asking,
Might have to
is,
shave off a radio. if we have to. No, to keep us under that $100,000 at the end of that.
That was my ask is 20 radios or 22 radios.
Right, we will stay within budget. If that is approved, we will ensure we stay within budget so that we don't go over.
Could you, I'm just gonna ask you to, like, in the next, you got 2 months before this thing goes to referendum, just, let's make sure we have
I can
what
reach
you,
out to them.
what you feel like is really necessary here, and, because if it's, we want to stick to the capital plan that we developed, but if it's a couple thousand here and there, then, you know, just make sure you have what you have, what you need.
This budget number that I put in at 100,000 gave you everything that we need to give the officers, fire officers, ambulance officers, and every vehicle portable.
Unless there's a lot of financing costs.
Correct.
So let's figure that out.
Yeah, I'll get some numbers with finance. I'll actually reach out to the vendor, see if they even do it.
Yeah.
And I'll reach out to the other company we use to give us a number.
Yeah, give him Bob's number.
Chief, I have a question.
Yep.
In the 2021 budget, there was $35,000 for radio replacement. Are these the radios that we're replacing again, or can you just talk to me about
Yeah,
what
so
we replaced
those
then? now?
radios are the current ones we're using. Those are not going away. So that is the fireground radios you have to operate on. The 800 band radio system is the radio that we talk to our dispatch centers and everybody else around us. So yes, these radios would replace the officer's radio, but not the firefighter radios going in. They're not operating on 800 band system inside because it's not a reliable radio system inside buildings. It's a very good command channel, not an operational channel. So we're going to maintain VHF radios for fire, which we already have in the trucks, and have to go to the digital system. Eventually, once we phase them all in, when you do dual band radios, it'll replace those radios and it'll be both radios in one radio. So
So the ones we bought 5 years ago, we're still using,
Yes.
and those are,
they're still good. We're using them on
they'll
the
be kept
VHF.
for a while.
Yeah, they're going to be probably another 10 years, probably.
Okay.
At least, till we get this whole system implemented. Because the radios we're buying will have both frequencies, 800 band and a VHF, so it'll replace those radios eventually. But as of now, we're not doing that. We have to maintain, because that would be another 30-something radios to replace all of them. and That's
Okay,
a lot
thank
of
you.
money.
And Chief, just hypothetically, if it's not approved, what's the impact to services? If you don't get them this
If we
year?
don't get them this year, we hope the state lets us keep the radios longer for another year. I was talking today, they're going to try to do some programming stuff. They didn't hint that they were going to take them from us, but it's big letters on the top of loaners from the state of Connecticut. So we don't own them. So.
Okay, why don't we move on to your presentation on the per diem staffing
All
proposal?
right, so my proposal, you'll see, I gave most of you a packet, it's also up there. All right, this is regarding going from the Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. coverage to a 24/7 coverage with the 2 per diem firefighters. From availability to reliability. Moving on, next page. Again, this goes over, leadership depends on local and career experience. This goes over my experience. I've been in the fire service 27 years in North Stonington. The past 17 years, I've been the fire chief. I'm also the town's emergency management director. I currently work in Massachusetts Fire Department as a captain there, shift commander. I'm certified Fire 1, Fire 2, EMT, Hazmat Tech, Fire Instructor 1, Fire Officer 2, and I'm a state of Connecticut certified fire marshal. The mission, basically the fire departments to provide fire and emergency services and rescue services into the town of North Stonington. Again, I'm not going to read each slide by slide because you have it in front of you. But when we get to the more important things, I will highlight it. Our core responsibilities, every hour, every day, no exceptions. Life safety, property protection, reliability, and rapid responses 24/7. Current staffing model is per diem staffing Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. 2 employees committed at the station for immediate response. Our volunteer staff 24/7, which is holidays, nights, weekends, pager call model. They respond from home or outside of the firehouse, so they're not based out of the station. The proposed staffing model per diem is 24/7, 2 employees committed in the firehouse at all times for immediate response. Again, along our 24/7 of our volunteers, Again, they'll be responding from home or outside the station as they do currently. Why this matters, two per diem firefighters 24/7 allows a faster response time. Again, reasonably expands the first responder program, offer more services. Currently, during the day, we respond to all ALS medical calls with the ambulance as an R1. At night, we do not. We only respond out supplemental if there's no ambulance available or because they're on another call, or if it's a cardiac arrest, we go with them or we respond until another ambulance gets there. With this staffing level, we'll be able to provide R1 services around the clock, 24/7, 365. And it also assists with burdening the load on the volunteers. If they're in the building, they can respond to more calls. So the current response time reality. The daytime responses to per diems, the average time for the first vehicle to sign on is 2 minutes and 21 seconds. Nighttime, which is volunteers only, our average response time signing on is 9 minutes and 42 seconds. Again, response times to some scenes in the town of North Stonington, 10 minutes, if not longer. Again, primary cause of our volunteers live further away from the station than historically. I am the closest person to the firehouse. It takes me 3 minutes to get to the firehouse from home. That's from being in bed, getting out of bed to be in the building. 3 minutes. I'm the closest one other person. You'll see, move on the next slide. It actually shows you where our members live and their response times. So my assistant chief's 3 minutes, I'm 3 minutes, and you start going up 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes, 11, all the way up to 15. Then one person's 21 minutes to get to the firehouse. That individual does not live in North Stonington, but he's a member who just wanted to put it in there for you. But the last one, 15 minutes, is a firefighter. He's actually the captain. He's responding from his home. Just to get to the firehouse takes him 15 minutes. So then just wanted you to see where the response times. That is, you're reducing that amount of time off of your response by having people in the building and getting a rapid response out. Your volunteers are still coming. You will not be replacing your volunteers. This just ensures a faster and more rapid response. Again, why seconds count in building fires. This is a quick video. I'm not sure if it'll play on there or not. Huh. All right. That's supposed to be a video. So what it demonstrates, it's coming up now. On the left is your natural furnitures. Again, these were basically your houses in the 80s. Didn't have all the synthetics in it where a volunteer service was acceptable. Fires burn slow. They weren't as fast. Today, where they're all synthetics. Within 4 minutes and 31 seconds, if the video, it's not going to play tonight. On the right, the fire in the room is uninhabitable. It's called flashover. No one can survive in that room if it gets to that point. And it takes 4 minutes and 31 seconds for that to happen. So that's sort of showing you why the importance of faster response times in the current days, synthetics in the houses. Everything in our homes now is plastic. It burns faster than it ever did. Why seconds counts? All right, we'll go on to the next slide. Earlier water on fire reduces fire spread to structural involvement and lowers property damage and loss. Again, why it matters, NFPA standards. Again, you look down to 24/7 per diem coverage guarantees minimum staffing for 2 in, 2 out, reduces fatigue and burnout on your volunteer responders. NFPA 1710, it goes down through the whole list of how many firemen you should have on scene. It says you should have 17 firefighters on scene within 8 minutes. So that's the slide. That is NFPA's recommendation for adequately staffed fire department. No, we're not asking you for 17 people. We're looking for 2 around the clock. And again, we're still heavily relying on our volunteer service. Again, paid firefighter support, do not replace our volunteers. Reduces the workload and strain on our volunteers, improves recruitment and retention, creates a sustainable staffing model for the future. Again, with the increased call volume over the years, and it's not going down, it's going to continue going up. It puts a large strain on our volunteers where hopefully the per diems can take some of that burden off of our volunteers. A few case studies moving into 7/8/2023, 100 Jeremy Hill Road. We were dispatched at 9:43 a.m. for a structure fire. First responding unit signed on at 9:53, 10 minutes later, volunteer crew. Suppression on the fire was at on scene at 9:58. You go down to second suppression unit signs on at 9:59. First unit on scene with a pager call was 14 minutes and 24 seconds to get to that scene. Again, that was a third floor fire. They were extinguished. The residents were displaced, but they were able to remodel and move back in. Next one is 225 in Kingswood. Paid staff crew on duty at 3:53 p.m. They were dispatched. 3:55 they were responding. At 3:57 they were on scene. Second suppression unit was 3:58, and then second suppression unit was 1600 on scene. That's a volunteer crew. First unit to be on scene with paid staff was 3 minutes and 39 seconds. The first volunteer crew on scene was 6 minutes and 39 seconds. And I think the last one will be 12/15/23, Pendleton Hill Road. This is a paid shift on a Tuesday. Dispatch at 11:27 for a structure fire, 11:29 responding, 11:35 on scene. Second unit signing on as a volunteer crew at 11:45. Second suppression unit arrived on scene at 11:50. Again, paid staff on scene 7 minutes and 51 seconds. The volunteer crew was on scene 22 minutes and 51 seconds later. Again, this is during the day. Response times for 2025 during day shifts per diem crews. The median response was 11 minutes and 48 seconds. Again, that's to be to the scene. Then you got your response times total for 2025 during the days, during day, nights, and volunteer pager was 15 minutes and 38 seconds. That's a 3 minutes and 37 seconds, 37 seconds difference. I'm starting to lose my position here. Again, going into the mutual aid is for extraordinary events, not routine coverage. Relying on neighbors will cause further delays due to additional distances. North Stonington is a larger rural community, has many responses that can take over 15 minutes to reach places. It's not Mashantucket, Old Mystic, or Pawcatuck's taxpayers' responsibilities to provide the services for the town of North Stonington's everyday needs. Next example is an address in town. So from the firehouse, again, this is showing why mutual aid doesn't work. We need to have a reliable response of our own town. Just from our firehouse, this address is 9 minutes. If we call Pawcatuck, it takes them 12 minutes. If we call Mashantucket, it's 15 minutes. If we call Old Mystic, it's 18 minutes. So it's showing you that mutual aid, yes, they're coming for additional help, but it's critical to get the first hose line and first crew on scene fast to minimize the damage and improve life safety. The current total cost for this year's budget is again, if the 3% raise is the $151,410, that's 2 paid firefighters, 50 hours a week. Again, that is our target high hazard time of day. It's our call volume is increased during that. What we're trying to do is have a dependable, reliable response all the time, not just during the day. Again, those times show how critical the time is to reduce it. And somehow my packet is out of whack. So I'll just follow the slide now. All right, you can go to the next one. Yeah, I can see this one. For a 24-hour coverage, it goes to $420,000, 2 paid firefighters, 168 hours a week. Ensures 24/7 community protection, continues to extend the life of the volunteer service. If anybody's watching the news, you see the volunteer service in the nation is dwindling. Or no, there's new things coming out to help try to improve retention and recruitment of firefighters. We're trying everything we can to get more people, but we're aging out faster than we're replacing people now. I know there's a new thing the governor's putting out for college and a few other things, housing assistance. Hopefully that passes. Maybe we'll get more people interested. Next slide. The conclusion, paid staffing closes the critical response time gaps, increases a better outcome for emergencies. Minutes save property, seconds save lives. The responsible investment for the public safety and the community confidence. And again, data sources is NARIS. All this data came from a national database that we have to provide our information to that's tracked nationwide. QV Dispatch is our dispatch center. Groton's our old one, and ESO Insights. And the video that we need to see that's the link. So all this information is actual documented and FOIable information. If you were to want to check the actual accuracy of this, it is available through those sites. Questions?
Chief, I have a question. So your total number of volunteers, including yourself, is 20 people right now? Is that correct?
Interior firefighters, yes.
And out of that 20, how many can drive every piece of apparatus? Off the top of your head, I'm assuming it's
Say
not.
probably 15, because there's a qualification list. Some people are qualified and some not everything. But yeah, because it's required training for certain pieces of apparatus, like the ladder truck. Takes more time and training to get someone qualified on that compared to driving the brush truck. So we have a certification list. So about 15 people are qualified on everything. And then the other 5 to 10 people have a couple trucks, but not others. So.
Chief, if hopefully we can all come to a good number, would we be able to dispatch this in 2 years, say break down weekdays 24/7, and then you guys do the weekends for now? Was that available, or did you discuss that at all?
So I did do the numbers. Again, I want to be very transparent with the Board of Finance and Selectmen. This is the number. Like if to go 24/7 coverage, 420,000 is the number we need to go there. If we want to phase this in.
Give me 1 second.
Yep.
We're going to try to get the Zoom back up. Make sure that the audience can hear.
We can hear you on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. I'll just make one comment. I think Deputy Chief Casada could get there in 3 minutes
From where?
from his house. 5, that's,
No, I'm sitting there waiting for him. So it takes him longer. He's open. So yes, there are options. I did actually break it down because I had a feeling this may be a question. So I brought the actual data for me to have tonight. Again, the 151,410 is your Monday through Friday coverage. Phase 1, if we feel is critical to do weekends first, putting on the Saturday, Sunday crew, which is days and nights, which would be an increase of 119,373, which would bring your total to 270,783 if we did phase 1 this year.
Can you repeat?
The cost,
One weekend guy is what?
oh no. it's
Person, one weekend
people.
person,
No, 2, it's always gonna be 2. It's 2 people.
two weekend
shifts.
people.
Yep. So the additional cost is 119,373.
How are 2 weekend people cheaper than two 5 days? Because that's 5 days a
5
week.
shifts.
Okay, 5 shifts, 2 weekend people.
And that would be daytime and then weekends.
That would be 24-hour coverage on weekends.
24.
Yes.
That's 24
24 on
hours.
the weekend.
So
Not
that's-
just the 6A to
No,
4P.
that'd be the weekend coverage. So we're trying to phase in the 24-hour coverage. So it would be the whole weekend.
Okay, so full weekend coverage with 2 people is $119,373.
Correct.
Thank you.
And then moving into phase 2 would be Monday through Friday, adding the other 14 hours a day into the backside of that would be the $150,000, which brings you to that grand total of 420,783. Because again, the numbers are a little.
I have a follow-up question, but I'm waiting to see if we know. So I just did some rough math. So I just did a little rough math. So so two per diem staff, which you have now for 151,000 divided by 100 hours a week, right? Because it's
Right.
two people working 50 hours is $29 per hour on average that you're paying.
We're not paying that. This number includes their taxes, the company's taxes, all that stuff.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I just mean like that's what it averages. So
That's right.
because I felt like the ratio was slightly different on the 420,000 and it's lower.
Right.
So there's like some sort of synergy for having.
Yeah, so again, this was the number. So how I got to this number was our bookkeeper gave us the 420. I divided that increase by the 9 additional shifts we're trying to add. The 5 day shifts, night shifts, and then the 4 weekend shifts. That was what gave me this number. So at the end, she's saying for 24-hour coverage with taxes, everything included, it would be $420,000.
Okay.
So I went off her number and I just divided it by the 9 additional shifts to give me the breakdown.
Okay. Because the average is $21.37 for the 420. So I'm just wondering, even if we tried to phase it, if we would lose some of that benefit is, I guess. You don't have to answer that. I'm just, to me, like there is definitely a lower cost per hour for the larger shift block.
And my next question would be, how many people do you have to get a truck out the door?
So right now, we're not delaying response. We're sending the 2 paid guys out immediately.
So two.
The two guys, just
two
put a truck on the
humans.
road.
Okay.
Because we used to always wait, years ago, 4 or 5 people in a fire truck. We're not waiting 7-8 minutes anymore. The 2 guys leave immediately. We pull up the structure fire. If life safety is at risk, those 2 firefighters go in and do a rescue for life safety. If there's no life safety at risk, there's a 2 in, 2 out rule. 2 people in the building, 2 people have to be outside the building. But again, 2 firemen on scene can put water through a window till the next engine pulls up with 4 or 5 more people. And they can get on the radio and yell for help, say, hey, we actually do have a fire, and get mutual aid coming in faster. So again, getting a firefighter on scene can, perform a rescue and start putting water on a fire, hopefully keeping it this big compared to it being this big when we pull up. So.
Chief, does everybody go from home to the fire station first and then dispatch to the fire?
Most of them, yes. Because it's frowned upon keeping your gear inside your personal vehicles now with worried about the cancer and everything else, carcinogens and everything. So not a lot of people keep it in their gear, but the people that live further out, like Dennison Hill or Northwest Corner Road, they will have the gear with them. They'll meet on scene, but a firefighter with no equipment can't do anything. So he's just got fire gear, no air pack, no tools, no water.
Yeah.
He'll be there on scene waiting for a fire truck to pull up. So there are times where the paid guys will respond and say that side of town, and there'll be two or three volunteers that responded to the scene, meet him there. So now there's 5 as they pull up.
Okay.
So it's worked out that way in the past before.
So what I hear you say is that you can get 2 paid people out the door.
Yep.
But unless there's life concerns, they really can't go into
Correct.
and start fighting until backup gets
Yeah,
there.
well, there's always shoot it through the door, shoot it through the window and knock it down. Again, reasonable risk. So if I look in and I see a trash can fire in your kitchen, obviously we're going to go in and put the trash can out. It's where your second floor of your house is fully involved. They
It's
can't
just
go
not
in
safe.
with 2 people. It's
Okay.
just unsafe to send them in like that.
Okay. Just really quick question. What happens to the tax break program that we just presented if you go to 2?
It wouldn't,
paid.
in my opinion, it wouldn't change because we're still trying to promote more volunteers.
It's
Again,
not going to take hours away from volunteers?
no, these per diems only not even supplement, they supplement our current volunteer model. it's addition two. We're guaranteed two people. That first truck's immediately on the road. We still need our volunteers. If we don't have volunteers, two guys really can't solve all our problems. There's not enough people to commit to do the job properly. So this is still a combination department. It will always be a combination department. Our volunteers, again, ride side and side with our paid staff. They're all trained to the same level. Everything can do, all the same thing they can do. So it's just guaranteeing that those riders will be in the building, not responding from home, getting out the door. So I might make the first truck with them coming from home now as they're pulling out. I get my gear, jump in the truck. Now we're leaving with 3. I currently now respond from home and wait in a fire truck 3 to 4 minutes for 2 or 3 more people to get in with me at night to go to a call. I don't want that anymore. I want when we get a call, a fire truck is leaving to go help the people that called for it. Because remember, when someone calls 911, they're already having the worst day of their life. They don't want to call 911. The emergency was when the call came in. They're already in the middle of it. They don't want to wait 7 to 10 minutes before a fire truck leaves the building to know help's coming. They should be leaving immediately to respond to help you. That's what we're trying to eliminate, is reduce that response time to get a truck to them faster.
Do you know what staffing models for other like towns are?
Can use like Voluntown. Typically they have per diems on during the day. I'm not sure if they're 24 hours yet or not. They cross staff the ambulance with the fire department. Again, not a feasible and reliable staffing plan. When your ambulance is out of town for over an hour a day per call, that means you have no fire protection in your town. Now, if you're at a fire call and a medical comes in, you have no medical coverage. So again, we've went through this in the previous years of why we are staffed separate. But current ones all around us, Preston has roughly 2 or 3 on around the clock. They're 24/7 coverage. You go to Pawcatuck, I think they have daytime coverage. I think there's 2 or 3 on. To Old Mystic, I think they have 5 on during the day with 1 24-hour full timer that works around the clock. So they have a 24/72 schedule for their full timers. Wambog has 1 firefighter on during the day. And that's sort of this area, immediate area that has current staffing models. It may be a little bit off on their numbers, but that's what I remember.
Thank you.
And Chief, I remember that the one person can't go on the truck. That's why you always have 2 people that are on the per diem, correct?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to take off my Bob Carlson, friend of the firefighter hat for a minute and put on my Bob Carlson, fiscally responsible for a selectman hat. I have to ask these questions because of the year we're in. We're in a reval year. We talked about how tough a year this is going to be when even you yourself sent me an email about, oh my God, my taxes are going up to what?
Yep, sure did.
So, and we're all in that same boat.
Yep.
And I don't ever want to put money versus safety, because safety should always come first, but then I'd be not responsible if I didn't ask these questions. First of all, on the 131 for the 2 per diems, you said it's a 3% increase, but I'm showing it as almost a 9% increase going from 131 to 151. So what is that? How does that number change? Because if you add times with 3%, I come up with about a $4,000 increase.
Where is my budget? Did I leave my budget in my chair? I got it right here. I got mine.
I'll take mine back, Ed.
I'd have to refer this back to Susan. She's the one that gave me we told her we wanted 3% raises, and this is the number she gave us. I don't know if because of taxes increase on it. Again, this is not just salaries. This is everything. This is all the taxes included and all that stuff.
But if I took that whole number times 3%, I come up with 135.8 versus 151, which is a big difference.
Yeah, I will have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Because when I asked, it was supposed to be a 3% raise.
Okay. Secondly, so I know that going back 5 or 6 years ago, when we put our first per diem on, we used ARPA funds for 2 years. And when the ARPA funds ran out, the town started picking up the single per diem. And then 2 years later, you said we needed to go to 2 per diem. And the way you presented it was at the time, we have volunteers, we have plenty of volunteers on weekends and nights, but we don't have them Monday through Friday during the day. And that's when we really need these per diems.
Yep.
we still have, I know we have more volunteers in other towns. We still have with the number we want to have, but we have a lot. Back in the day, and I was never a firefighter, I always thought that volunteer firefighters could usually be found around the fire station when they weren't at their day jobs, whether it be hanging out, waiting for fires, monitoring the equipment, whatever it happened to be. So now it's basically you're saying that many volunteers who, as Nicole just said, we're putting in a tax abatement, none of them are at the station unless there's a call. So nobody hangs around the station anymore.
Not
They
much
all,
anymore, except for the paid staff and training nights, stuff like that.
so the comment that was a few years ago, you said we have plenty of volunteers on weekends and nights. That's not a true comment anymore.
We have seen a significant decrease over the last 5 years. Yes.
Okay.
Because never intended on having to come and ask for coverage 24/7. But when you sit in a vehicle waiting 5-6 minutes to respond to someone that called 911 for help, something needs to be done. We need to, again, I don't want it to be my house when I'm calling for help and knowing there's not people coming right away. No, we pay for a 24/7 coverage for an ambulance. They leave the building immediately. But we're not going to staff a fire truck to ensure they're responding to your house in time of need immediately either. That's where talk about life safety. There's both sides of this now. We need to ensure we're providing the best financial responsibility in response to our people. So
We know that the best solution would be to have a full-time fire department with no volunteers.
Right.
This is built on a volunteer fire department. It's always been a volunteer fire company.
Yep.
And I think that's what you and your other fellow firemen would always want it to be, as you
Right.
just said. But and I know it would be very expensive to go to a full-time fire company,
Mhm.
very expensive. So with that in mind, we also can't take these kind of jumps in the budget in 1 year as you're presenting.
Mhm.
Not this year. Now, it could be we work this into a 2 or 3 year program, as you admitted that
Correct.
you could do. This year being a reval is going to be a very tough time. I can see our budget. We haven't even showed these as our budget yet, because I'm afraid we have to talk about it first.
Yeah.
It's the highest budget increase I've seen since I've been the first selectman to start with. And they'll all get a copy next Tuesday. And then their heads will explode too. But so we're starting at a high point.
Mm.
And there's a lot of fixed costs we can't do much about. And I have to explain where that number's coming from. But in this reval year, where we've had it's going to be such a potential tax increase and a lot of work on the Board of Finance to work on that mill rate to get it down to where it's acceptable by our residents. So I'm just saying, I think that similar to last year when we myself and you sat in my office and we worked on the per diem number last year, I'm just thinking, I'm not saying it's not going to get approved. I just we might want to work on a plan A, B, and C.
I am more than happy to sit down with you and we can come over a plan to phase this in. I have no issue with that. I just want to be very transparent of where we need to be and what the number was.
Got it.
So I definitely will work with you on this.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Land use.
We don't need an introduction for this. Susan, welcome.
Thank you.
Board of Finance, you might remember Susan last year. She was fully decked out in a Boy Scout uniform when she gave her presentation last year. So
I was lucky. We canceled tonight since it was Ash Wednesday. So I can be here in regular attire. I'm Susan Cullen. I'm the Planning, Zoning, and Land Use official here for the town of North Stonington. And we have a very small, very lean, very efficient department. We are open 24/7 online, and all of our permitting is available online. So if you are a contractor coming in for a building permit, or coming to make a change of use or a zoning permit with our office, you can actually access that information 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We do staff, within the town hall, and we have, paper and personal service as well for those who would prefer to come in. I do represent also the Economic Development Commission. So what I've done for this year is to lay out those expenses. You'll notice that our expenses are quite small year over year in terms of changes. And in fact, there's really only one sort of ask for this year that's different than last year. And that actually has to do with a $12,000 ask, which that is a good number for a contracted purpose for our zoning regulations. Donald Pullen Consulting did an update to our zoning regulations back in 2012. That was 14 years ago. And at that time, and when I inherited my office, there was a package of information of what had been accomplished in terms of updating those regulations and what hadn't been accomplished. So there were some outstanding items. And also in the last 14 years, some of our state laws and state statutes have changed. We certainly don't want to expose the town liability-wise to the possibility. Even one court case could put us well over that $12,000 in terms of paying our land use attorney to defend ourselves. So we would like to bring our regulations, up to today's standards in terms of state statutes. Because Donald Pullen is an expert known in Connecticut, is known to the town of North Stonington, and also had done the previous set of information, he was able to give us a very small, very targeted number to be able to update those regulations. There are very specific things that we need to do. So we're already well aware of what some of those are, but he'll still review our regulations soup to nuts to make sure that we're in compliance with all the newer state laws and state statutes that have come into play. So that's what that $12,000 number is. And that's, you'll notice, the biggest number of adjustment or change. All of our other numbers are pretty flat in terms of our membership dues. You'll notice some of them actually have numbers of dollars and cents. We were able to get very specific numbers. Our staff has specific certifications that have to do with state law and our local job descriptions that are required by our staff members. And so those have specific things targeted to them in terms of training, seminars, dues, education that have to do with those professional associations. So everything else is pretty much the same, although I'll be more than happy to answer anything that you have questions about in any specific item. We always ask for $10,000 with our attorney line item on B34. We don't know from year to year how much of that we will use. We do enforcement, and so sometimes those enforcement costs can go up or down depending on if the attorney has to take a case to court or not. Over the last years that I've been here, we've been able to keep our costs very low. In fact, we've spent less than $2,000 in the last 2 years on the town's attorney. So we've been able to keep those costs low, but we still budget for some of that money because there are things that could come up that we may not anticipate, and we don't want to have to come back to pay the attorney in case we need to pay him in a timely fashion to take us to court.
Do you have numbers for how much it's cost us historically, any further back?
In terms of the town attorney
Yeah,
fees,
yeah.
I could certainly get those for you. Sure.
Could you do that? Because,
Certainly.
we're tightening budgets, as Bob said, during this
Certainly.
reval year as much as possible. So
Yeah,
every dollar
can do
counts. And I understand what you're saying,
Mhm.
make sure we have enough in there.
Yes.
But if historically we've been less than 5, that might be some savings that if there's something that comes up, could certainly be ripe for an appropriation request.
No problem. I'll be happy to find that out. Like I said, I've only been here for 2 years, so my memory only stretches that far, but I'd be more than happy to
Completely
look into
understandable.
that with the
Yeah,
town
well, this is the first foray into this and
problem.
for all of us. So,
No problem.
you're going to get questions and we'll all react
My pleasure.
accordingly. And but that would be a good one that is one of those discretionary ones that we might be able to save some.
Certainly.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Sue, on the contract consulting, that can't be done in-house, has to go outside.
Well, I guess it could be. I think it efficiency wise is a smarter idea to go to the outside. Mr. Poland works across many of the 169 communities in Connecticut and has a much broader scope of information than we would have here. He might have new ideas, better ideas than we have here. I've only in my 30-year career worked in 4 towns. He's probably worked in 35 or 40 of the Connecticut towns. So that's a much broader span in terms of his expertise. The other thing that happens is when you have someone who comes from the outside and can give a lot of different, ideas, they're not sort of tied to, North Stonington's. I'm also the person who enforces your regulations here. I also do economic development here. So I don't think you'd want me to take that time away from other things that I'm doing to bring that forward in a timely manner. And because several of the state laws that have changed in the past 5 years, I think my concern is if we don't get on top of a couple of those things soon, we might be paying even more of that money out to the attorney to defend us in the time that I could get it done.
So you said it was done last when, 12 years ago?
In 2012, so that was 14 years ago.
And if we were to move this to the 2027, 28 budget, you think that would be a problem?
I think what worries me is that we've already sort of stretched it by going that 14 years, and so many things have changed. And also, there were things that were left on the table back then. Part of what was actually an advantage to me coming in is there was actually a package from the consulting service, from Donald Poland Consulting, that talked about what they had reviewed at that time and what things that they actually hadn't gotten to. And it was obvious that they'd run out of time, out of money, and maybe out of the ability of the volunteers to keep going with the project. So some things are older than that, that we'd like to go ahead and get taken care of. So I think it would be a bad risk for the town to push it off. I think we might end up paying more money in the end.
Can it be split over 2 years?
That also would be difficult because part of the cost that he gave us has to do with the number of meetings that he would attend and the type of public hearings that we would have to make those changes. State statutes under 8-7D for public hearings in terms of planning and zoning give us a very specific timetable when we're changing things and putting things into public hearing. And so it would be difficult for us to stretch it out. I think you'd end up paying more money by actually breaking it apart, because some things you'd have to do over again. And the advertisements that we'd have to make, the hearings that we would have to hold, and what we would have to pay him to do, it might be less efficient to do it that way.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Anyone else?
Susan,
Yes.
the all the updatings are automatic, or do you kind of answered my question before I
Oh,
said it.
okay.
You'll be having public hearings that everybody has an input on what you're going to change in the zoning rules and regulations.
Yes, certainly.
Okay.
So under the planning and zoning statutes for the state of Connecticut, there's a very specific procedure when you change any planning and zoning statute. And it talks about the type of publication that you put out there, and it has to be advertised in the paper of the highest circulation in the region. They also want you to make sure that things are done online. They also want to make sure that people are aware of it. So depending on what type of change it would be, if it's a map change versus a text change, the procedures change slightly.
Okay.
So there's quite a large amount of sort of public advertisement that goes on, but then the public hearing that goes on is completely open to anyone to come and speak or to ask a question. And that's part of why it's kind of an advantage for us to have someone with a broader knowledge of what they've done in other places, because they might have new ideas that we just
Okay.
haven't seen in Eastern Connecticut.
Thank you.
Sure.
Susan, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
You're saying if you got this 12,000, you had to do a bunch of public hearings, there was a bunch of advertising you had to do, whether it be online, most circulated paper. Your budget for your advertising is at 4,600, so that's going to cover that extra advertising that you haven't occurred last year because we had very few public hearings.
We typically don't use all of that public hearing money. It depends on really how many applications come in. And so we try to give our best estimate year over year of what our advertising costs are going to be. Sometimes we go above, sometimes we go below. There's no way for us to really estimate in any given year. If we have 12 public hearings versus having one, there isn't a way for us to know in advance what that's gonna look like. We don't know when folks are gonna bring in, an application for a 44 lot subdivision versus we have a year when we have no subdivisions. So there's no way for us to really estimate that. So we just have to give it kind of our best guess.
Okay, I have one. Susan, yeah, you're also the zoning enforcement officer,
Yes,
correct?
sir.
What's the percentage of the split between doing the planning portion and also doing the zoning enforcement of your job?
So probably, I guess I'd have to actually sit down and track that, but my guess would be that I spend probably 8 hours of the week doing the enforcement, tracking things, following up with people, doing letters, doing inspections, probably 3 hours of the actual like planning and zoning type of work. And that involves, public involvement with answering questions, processing permits. And then I also do work for the Economic Development Commission. And so some of that work is working with our commissioners. Right now, we don't have a full commission, but we do have some of our volunteers who are actively working on projects. And so they come in one by one and we work together on those projects. So I guess I'd have to really track it down, but that'd be my guess about what it is.
Okay, so basically one working day for zoning enforcement.
That's probably about right.
Okay, thank you.
Susan, I'm gonna ask a quick question, and I as well am new to this, so.
No problem.
If I'm missing something, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
In terms of enforcement, I know this is your expense report, but
Mm-hmm.
is there a line item that shows revenue created from enforcing the enforcement in town when people commit violations? I see over here, there is like a small number that's decreased,
Mhm.
maybe, but.
So yes and no. When there are court-laden fines that come in, we do sometimes take in money over those. What we actually really try to do, though, is to catch enforcement before it gets to that level. We do various levels of enforcement in terms of education and trying to keep people out of court and also just being responsive and turning things around quickly. Occasionally, sometimes it's just a matter of people not being aware that regulations exist. Whether you have someone who's new to town who maybe didn't realize that they could only have a certain number of horses on their site, or they couldn't put in a new bigger sign without a permit. We try first to just go out and talk to people, educate people, whether it's verbally by phone call, if we can get a hold of an email, to have kind of a hospitable beginning. And then we move to other, sets of reactions in terms of letters, in terms of cease and desist orders. So there's sort of a progression, and we try really hard to actually keep people out of the side of the progression where we're going to do fines, because the other thing that incurs for the town, not only court costs for us in terms of the town attorney, but I think it causes a sense of unfairness too. Folks aren't always aware that we're going after this person, and they want to know, why can't I put up a bigger sign, or why can't I do this on my property? The neighbor's doing it. We might already be in court with them and they might not be aware of that. So we try to catch people. We do complaint-based violations here. And so, we get calls from neighbors. We get calls from people that are passing by. Sometimes we get calls from people who are just curious. Oh, I saw this happen. Are we allowed to do that or not? So we don't try to use enforcement as a way to gain revenue. Most of the revenue for our department really comes in terms of building permits.
I gotcha. So how do we track that though? I guess would be my question though, in terms of violation, when there is enforcement done, and let's say hypothetically, I build a barn 10 feet from the road and you tell me I can't, and I refuse to take it down, and it goes on and on. Eventually you have to take a course of action. That's part of enforcement, right? So where would that line item be found of revenue created from the violation after you're enforcing it?
So I think fines are really the only way that would come back in. If you wanted to know parcel by parcel what's being done in terms of a violation, all of our records are kept by parcel. So you could say, you know, at this address, I'm concerned about something going on, and we can tell you the entire history of what's gone on there, what permits they have, who's owned the property, what steps we've already taken with them. But I guess, I mean, we don't really use enforcement as a large percentage of our income. Am I okay?
We're not conjunctions.
Well, can I expound on that a bit?
Yes.
So Ed, I'd say an average of 4 to 6 times a month, someone's in my office, is usually neighbor versus neighbor complaints. I'm calling, I'm saying, okay, you're in my office is really land use, but because you came to my office, I'm going to work with Susan to get it solved. I can't tell you how many times I've traveled with Susan Cullen, whether it be early in the morning, watching your job site to see who's coming and going, watching a neighbor's house and seeing what activity is happening. It could be everything from a rooster crowing too loud to I can't pull out of my driveway because my neighbor's bushes are protruding out into the road. I think my neighbor has too many horses, as she said, on 5 acres. So we do a lot of that. There's really no money exchange. We typically go out, we try to talk to both neighbors and appeal to common sense and trying to be neighborly. But that's an awful lot. I can't tell you how many hours a month. It's probably my least favorite part of my job. That we spend so many hours dealing with neighbor versus neighbor complaints, and a lot of it's just silly stuff, or someone that's moved into a rural community and not realizing what that means, like the smell of manure. Roosters crowing. Oh, I drove through manure on the road. Are you going to wash my car for me now because I have manure in my car? It's nonstop, and I usually say it's land use, not me. But because they come to me, I say, Susan, we need to take a ride, and we usually try to solve it. So, but there's no money exchange in that. It's all just trying to appeal to people trying to be better neighbors. And it's more than that than you think. So that's a big part of your job.
It is.
We have nothing else, correct? What?
Oh, EDC, there's no
She
change.
has EDC. Do you have questions about EDC? She's doing both.
So apparently I was elected to the EDC, but I've never had a meeting, so I don't know what we're doing on it. But I'm just curious what the operating expenses line item is actually for on the EDC.
Certainly. So what I put in for the EDC, after the election, we still actually had a quorum for the EDC, but last month we actually lost a member. And so we no longer have a quorum for the EDC. So what I did was I put in the same numbers that we'd had from the year previous, with one exception. So it used to be that we paid specific money for a coordinator who came in to do some of the EDC's work. And so we no longer do that. So that went down last year. And then what really is remaining in the budget has to do with the Southeastern Connecticut Enterprise region, our dues for those, and also our dues for the Mystic and for the Ocean Chamber. And so we've become more and more as time has gone on, we're engaging with them more. We actually, in this past year, part of those operating expenses that you see is that we had one of our volunteers designed a brand new brochure for us with a lot of our small businesses in town. And that 1,500 copies of that went out with the chamber on their dime for postage to all the chamber members in the region. So that was a great bang for our buck. We paid for the printing, which was about, I think it was $257 or something. She got us a great deal on the printing, but then the postage would have been even more than that, but because of our chamber membership, they sent it out with their newsletter. And so they went out to all of their members in the region that promoted our small businesses. And that was a great way for us to sort of stretch our dollars as much as we can. In the past 2 years, we've also, with those operating expenses, held a small business event that gathered small businesses from the area. And actually, both the chambers attended that as well, which was great. It actually attached some small businesses that were newer to some that were older. People got to know each other a little better, talked a little more, had some more synergies going on. And so we're hopeful that in the future, some of those things will be a little more fruitful in terms of neighbors. I think part of what we forget about with these small businesses, we're always talking about like our big wins with like electric boat coming and things like that. But the small, like micro businesses, there were 16 new businesses started in North Stonington this past year. So those businesses, what those actually add to our economy in terms of local dollars and people spending their local dollars, keeping those local dollars here, that has a great impact on us, and even more so sometimes than some of the major businesses that come to town. And so we want to be able to support those businesses. We want those businesses to stay here, to bloom and to blossom. And so that's part of what we try to do in Economic Development Commission. So the reason, I'm sorry, we haven't had a meeting is I don't have enough people to have a quorum for the meeting. So we're one member short right now of that quorum. So if anyone has any friends, relatives, people at home who'd like to join us, this is my free plug since I'm in front of the camera. We'd love to have you come and join us there.
So Susan, I'm going to leave you with one ask.
Sure.
And it's based upon Winona's comment is,
Yes,
let's look at actuals again for operating expenses for EDC for the last 5 years
no problem.
and see if we have a non-functioning commission at this point,
Mhm.
is that someplace where you can maybe lower that by a couple of thousand, 3,000,
I will find out.
because $250, not a problem, but we have your memberships and stuff covered.
Yep.
I think those are all critical and we don't want to,
Mhm.
mess with those, but if there are operating expenses that aren't being used and historically we haven't met the budget number with our actuals, then I'd like Bob to know that when your final budget's done.
I will find out.
Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wheeler Library.
Testing. Great. Good evening and welcome, everyone. My name is Diane Didi. I'm the director of Wheeler Library. We did provide a slide presentation, but for time's sake, if you'd like, I would be willing to summarize what our request is. We want to thank you for the opportunity to present our annual budget request for the upcoming year to the town. Your support is not just appreciated, it is very essential for Wheeler's continued growth and success as a cornerstone of the North Stonington community. I did provide a brief history, which we know Wheeler was built in the year 1900 and funded by the Wheeler family. And we are an association library. We're not municipal. So we're governed by an independent board of trustees. We are in Connecticut, there are a little less than half of the public libraries are association. There are more municipal libraries in the state of Connecticut. So Wheeler is one of the association libraries. We have an endowment from the Wheeler family, and it started off at $20,000. It has grown to $2 million, and it's managed by our board of trustees. And so another source of our funding income is our annual appeal. It's about a third of our operating budget. We currently have the goal of $80,000, and it's another important part of our budget. And of course, the town of North Stonington contribution. It started off, your contribution is very important to the support of Wheeler Library. Through the years, it's increased. And the current level of support from the town is $100,000. which actually, if you look at other public libraries, funding from their towns is a little lower. So we're holding at $100,000. And our current request for the upcoming fiscal year is the same as last year. It's $100,000. The reason we're having no increase is because, as you know, we do have a big renovation project going, and we want to keep our upcoming request at zero increase. So it will be $100,000. So our current operating budget is $285,000. Income basically comes from the town of North Stonington, our annual appeal, and our endowment. Our operating expenses are basically utilities, payroll, maintenance, and insurance. And we are the community center for North Stonington. Your support helps us thrive, and demand for our materials and services have grown steady through the years. We welcome all who come to the library. We offer a variety of free programs and materials for the library. Last year alone, we had over 200 programs for all ages, and demand for library space and usage is also at an all-time high. And I'd like to say that investing in Wheeler Library is an investment for the future of our community. With your continued yearly support, we can fulfill our mission and ensure the library remains a dynamic space that benefits all residents of our community. And on behalf of the trustees and staff, I would like to thank you for your time. Do you have any questions?
I have a question about some of the programs that you guys offer, and this popped into my head last week at the meeting we had across the street. So should have asked then, didn't think of it. Do you? So the one that kind of sticks out to me the most, and so I'll just use this as a singular example. But you guys had a packet where it was like rows and columns of different programs that you offer. Do you ever think about if you compete, or do you compete with our rec program, and how do you align with that? Like, you offer yoga and art classes and that type of thing, and those are the same types of programs that our rec program is offering, and those are funded by taxpayer dollars to some extent as well. So can you talk to that, please?
Sure. Currently, we do not cooperate in partnership with Parks and Rec, but that is certainly something that we can do in the future. I know that in previous towns I've worked with, I've done that. And that certainly is that's another cost-saving way and community partnership that we would be very happy to look into. And there are other also town departments or town organizations too that we're looking into cooperation. So for example, we have the 250th anniversary. We're looking forward to cooperating with the Historical Society. We are also, because of our renovation project, we will be doing programs outside in the community. So that's another opportunity to cooperate with local organizations, and it gives us a chance for outreach. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to? Yeah. You want to?
Yeah, come on up.
Hi, everybody. Emily Noyes, children's librarian. And I just wanted to say that we do kind of plan purposefully because we don't want there to be an overlap. Sometimes there are, like you said, art classes, but to my knowledge, I believe that residents have to pay for rec classes, sports and rec activities. So they're not free. And the library is. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We're going to move on to agenda item number 6, which is the Wheeler Library discussion. We had our town hearing on the 9th. Does anyone have any comments or want to discuss anything from that hearing? Anyone? Well, I will just say that I would, I know it's hard, probably hard for people to come out, and we had one gentleman that made a comment that he thoroughly supported the project and yet didn't feel that taxpayer dollars should be used for that project. And, it's not easy for anybody to come in
Mention that.
and say that I don't support, using taxpayer dollars for a project that everyone agrees would be great for this town. I would like to have heard more voices out there, and as to why they would not vote for this if it did go to referendum. But all we could do is put it out there and try to see what people say. Obviously, we heard a lot of support. There was probably more supporters than there were in opposition. I got the general sense that from everybody from most people in the hearing, that they do want to see this go to referendum. Would anyone disagree with that assessment?
I attended the meeting as well. I don't disagree with that assessment. I think my biggest takeaway is that the timing of a referendum without having stronger budget numbers and a closer idea of what taxes look like that's what gives me heartburn and gives me pause. I know that we did our best to try to illustrate what a financial impact to the town would look like. And, it seemed de minimis at the meeting, which is great, I guess. But I don't think that we have fully accounted for what a tax increase due to budgetary changes could look like. And so I feel like the public might be missing a key piece of information. And if we have the referendum vote before they know all of the information going into a new budget and a new set of taxes, that there could be a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking or questioning the order of us giving them information and asking the people to make decisions. And I don't want to be in that position. I wouldn't want to be in that position. I've submitted an appeal for my assessment because I'm not happy about it. I've run the numbers on my taxes, and the library portion of my tax increase is not a concern. So there's big dollars coming potentially for us who are above that median increase. And I don't think that was clear or illustrated to the point for like good digestion last week. And that worries me that people aren't going to have a good gut feel going into March, if that's whenever we have that referendum vote.
Yeah. And thank you, Winona. And basically, and I wish I had thought about this and this is something Dan brought up when we were going over the assessor's report, that basically 1 mil is somewhere between 900,000 and
A
am
million.
I off?
Well, you're on.
Okay, between 900,000 and $1 million. So that's why it made sense that this ask is it's 1.08 mils. So anyone who has an assessment can figure out what exactly the cost is going to be for their particular home. You take your assessment, you multiply it by 1.08, actually 0.001.0108. You're going to move the decimal place 3 places. So it's 0.00108, and that will tell you what the real library ask would cost you if it was paid for in 1 year. It's very easy math, even for bad people, bad math people like myself. So, and I wish I had made that point a little clearer with, at the time I was using the median household income, which is not the average out, because the median allows for the variance with the really small assessments and the really large assessments. It's a better number to use, but it's basically 1.08 times your assessment. 1.08 mils times your assessment would give you what it would cost you if it was done in 1 year. To your point on the timing, I get that as well. If we could know all the numbers, it would certainly be more beneficial for the taxpayers when it comes to deciding whether or not they're going to even pass this whole budget when it comes up to referendum. But for it to be on our budget as a budgetary item, we have to have it voted for yes or no. If it's going to be voted yes, then it will appear as a non-recurring capital item on our budget for this year. And everyone just has to know that if it's going to be on there, but we also still have to decide at some point, is it going to be, we've decided that the best route is the loan with a 10-year payoff. There's a lot of people that said we want to pay it off in 1 year, but those are the people that, it's $347. But if your assessment's double that, it's, you're closer to $800. And if you went up 200%, do the math. So we haven't talked about it, and we can talk about it tonight. Has anyone changed their mind as to how they would fund it if the answer is in fact yes?
So, and so statistically, you guys know I'm a numbers girl, right?
Yep.
So 28 people and I tried to keep as good of track as I could. So 28 people got up and said, yes, send this to referendum. They support this. They want to see this get voted on and get voted on. Yes. The one gentleman that said no. And then there were 6 of the 28 that got up and said, yes, I support this. I want to see it go to referendum, but here's some things we should consider. So, overwhelmingly, this 28-1, like this, if we went, this is the numbers.
There was also not a clear delineation of, there was, well, why don't we just pay it out of the undesignated fund? Then there was I like this option where you had the loan, but it's a lump sum. And then we had the one that, which drag it out for 10 years. And then even after the meeting, we had multiple people ask, well, oh, you explained it this way. Oh, well, that would change how I would want to handle that. Even at that point, we had some swaying back and forth on that. And I'm with Winona on this. It's not knowing numbers this early. And, every single time we have these asks, the last couple of meetings with everybody's presenting, the number keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you start asking yourself, when is the dam going to break on that? Because you can only, everybody's expecting a large mill rate adjustment. We're talking about, multiple mills possibly. And we haven't even seen Bob's budget. We haven't seen the school's budget. So I think we just have to be very, very mindful of a large ask. And this is a large ask for a non-town owned entity.
I don't disagree that it's a large ask. And we have, at this point, there's, as was discussed that night, there's 2 choices, and Bob said this in his opening and closing remarks. We vote tonight to move it to a town meeting, which would happen on the 2nd, and then there would be a referendum on March 16th. And that if that's a yes on March 16th, then there's the potential for a 1 mil increase, 1.08 mil increase if it was all paid for in 1 year. Or a 0.17 if we did it in the 10-year increments that we talked about. I don't have a crystal ball. I think from what I've heard from Bob, just anecdotally, what his budget looks like, and it's the biggest increase he saw. We know that, and part of this is the library is asking us to to do this now because of when the construction project, they would like to have it start. They can't move forward with it. They don't have the library, they don't have the grant without securing all of the funding from all sources for the full 4 million. And, you know, it's a risk on their part to ask for this vote prior to budget season being done and before the full impact of the expense side is known. And so there's risks on all sides.
So I'll add to this. So you guys got an extra grant that you guys announced during the presentation, correct? What does that entail? Refresh my memory. And then what is going to be the overall impact to the project?
Hi, Kat Edwards. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
So in 2024, I applied for a federal grant. So throughout this entire process, I've just been applying for grants and applying for grants and applying for grants, right? Like wherever I can, whatever I can make stick. So this one was originally for because it's a federal grant, we had a much better chance of getting this grant if it was for ADA compliance. Like whenever you apply for a grant, you try to go for
Just I want to back you up for a second. Are you asking about the federal grant?
I'm asking, yes.
He's asking about the grant we just got.
The grant that they announced at the presentation.
Okay.
Which then the paper showed it was announced that it was $500,000.
I was confused. I'm sorry.
And then it was $1 million. Joe Courtney announced it was $1 million. So
Let me explain that. Okay. So this is the grant. This is a federal grant. We did it through Joe Courtney's office. It was for ADA compliance. It was for a new elevator. It was for a ramp. It was for handicap access sidewalks, and it was for fixing the parking lot in the back and to level it out and get rid of the ice and to fix the front steps for the ice. And so anything that's with accessibility, right? So we had a good chance of getting it. We got it in 2024. It was approved by Congress, and then the current administration clawed all the money back because it came through the USDA. So we lost the money. So then Courtney's office said, try again, try for fiscal year 2026. So I reapplied, did it all over again. And Trump signed it last Tuesday. It just came through on Saturday. So we just found out we got it. All that money. So it says it's for $1 million, but it really isn't $1 million because it's a USDA grant. It's a matching grant. You have to prove you have skin in the game. You have to put your own money in, and you're reimbursed based on the fact of your population and then on the median income of your town. So based on that, we're at 55%. We get $550, which is that number.
550,000.
550,000. We have to match 450,000 of that with our money. So what we have to do is we pay the invoice ourselves, the library does, and then we submit that to the USDA office, and they give us back 55% of the money. This whole entire project with the handicap access is not part of the $4 million project. It's a separate part. It's supposed to happen after the construction is done. So it was always separate. It's very expensive because it's replacing the entire elevator.
So you're tagging it just to do the elevator itself, not any of the groundwork to remove ice and.
No, all that. What was your question?
So you were stating what this grant was. It was like to make it more ADA compliant, where you're talking about, where areas where it pools up with ice. There's issues and everything. That's a part of your original project with drainage.
No. The drain. No. This doesn't actually fix the drainage around the exterior of the building and digging down along the building and redoing that. That's separate.
Okay.
This is like evening out in the back where the handicap back door access is, and then the granite steps outside in front that are cracked and slippery, and then the rusty railings that you can't grab.
So initially, we had a project that included everything, outdoor landscaping and the elevator and this ADA compliance. And when we were putting together, paring down the scope to make it a $4 million project, which is what we presented to you and what we are asking for $1 million toward. The $4 million project, we had to whittle out a bunch of things out of that project. And we whittled out the elevator and the front ADA ramps that were designed initially, but we got cost estimates that said how much is each part of this, and we took out the elevator, we took out the ADA part of it, and we were like, we have to fundraise for that at a later time because we don't have, for $4 million, we can't include those things. So Kat's applying for a whole bunch of different grants to try to address how are we going to pay for, very important, the elevator and the other ADA compliance we want to do. So as Kat described, we made that application to the federal grant. It got pulled back, but we just got it again, which is wonderful news. But we just want to make it very clear that money is not part of the $4 million project.
So I'll ask another question. The $550,000, how much does that pay to replace your elevator? I'm talking about the next project.
How much of that will cover
Yes.
that project?
I mean, the elevator is a part of the 550,000. It's not all of it. The elevator is going to be about 200,000.
What I'm worried about is you have this project, if it gets funded, and then you have another project. If you do not have an operator, which is say it costs even more. If you do not have a working ADA live elevator, how does that impact you guys?
We knew we had to do the elevator. So we already had plans to fundraise separately for the elevator. That's always a given. It's outside of the scope of our $4 million project, but we knew we had, and we're not going to come back to the town and ask for money for the elevator. We have in our strategic planning, that was a separate initiative.
So you're asking if the 550 will cover the ADA accessibility compliance?
Correct.
Absolutely it will. I mean, the highest estimate I got for the elevator was 245,000. That was just the mechanicals in the new elevator, but then there's money there to do the ramps and other things. So we will work along with what we have.
Just make sure you're into the mic.
Sorry. I'll get out of there.
My worry is if you guys keep on taking out the endowment fund, it's not the original ask. It's you're taking more money out of the endowment fund, and then it's going to have an effect year after year, because then that will affect your operating costs, because you do draw 4% off of your endowment, correct?
Yep.
You take the capital out of that, you're lowering the amount.
Yep.
That means you can't draw as much yearly. That means you're going to your annual ask to everybody, or you're coming to the town for that, or you're fundraising a lot more. So
we calculated, we did the calculations backwards, like how much can we take out of the endowment fund that it will not affect our growth in the future and our operating expenses in the future. And then we work backwards on how much money do we need to raise to match the endowment fund, for what we're, and I'm still going to be applying for more grants, so.
Understand.
So, I mean, this is amazing. I mean, this is a godsend, and it was a lot of hard work.
Totally.
Not to mention the state library grant.
Totally get that. It's just,
we've worked very, very hard.
I think people need to understand that drawing on the endowment fund and the year after year after year ramifications of that does have an impact to the town budget. It will. And I think everybody needs to understand that.
We know that, but we also know that our endowment fund can increase.
Correct. Has it?
Yeah, every year. And also there's, people leave large gifts, and there's, you know, there are other ways to have money come in for an endowment fund.
Okay.
All right, so just so everyone's clear online and in the room, you have the same ask. You got 2 million from the state, you have 1 million raised on your own. You're asking the town for 1 million plus potential interest and cost of any loan. And anything we've got involving this new federal grant is for separate items that you had planned to do later on. Now you have funding to do it, correct? Okay. What? Yes, Bob.
Actually, kind of a statement. So Wyoming brought up a good point as far as we don't know what's going on with the budget at this stage. But I would argue that at this stage of the budget season, every year, we don't know what's going on. It's always been this early in the budget. We don't know what it's going to look like as we go through. Now, of course, we don't always have the $1 million ask, and we always don't have a reval. So this year's a little bit different. But if you look at the history of the last 4 years, we've never really knew going into the budget. We've always come up with a balanced budget, actually decreased taxes in 2 of those 4 years and never raised the mill rate. They actually took it down. So what do we know? We know that not counting reval, our revenue has a healthy increase every year in the last 4 years. Forget reval. I know the assessor couldn't answer that question at the last meeting and he was getting frustrated. But we know that historically in the last 4 years, we've had, if this wasn't reval year, I'd say that our revenue still is going to go up because it's going up 4 or 5 years in a row. And what's happening in town with EB and miners and so on, I can't imagine it's not. We've had home building. So that's something we do know. Revenue has, not counting reval, revenue has increased. Another thing we do know is the undesignated fund has never been in a more lucrative position where it's been as high as it's been in all the years we've been around. I mean, if we look back and even 2018, it was down around $2 million, and now it's over $4 million. So those are things we do know. And when I say, I didn't mean to get everybody so nervous about my budget, but having a $6 million budget, it doesn't take much to move the needle. I mean, $100,000 moves it by 1.5%. So it's for my budget to be where it is now. And looking at it, I don't think it's insurmountable to get it to a workable number. We'll have to make some hard cuts, maybe harder cuts this year than we have in the past. But I think we've done that. We've shown historically we can get the budget the way we need it to be. You mentioned where you think it's going to be in the budget. I have to disagree. It's going to be in long-term debt. I always imagine we put in with the EMS and the school number where we have long-term debt in the front page of the budget. I think it would go in there. So right now it's $1,382,000 or something. That would now go to $1,382,000 plus whatever the interest is on the loan.
Right, that's what I mean,
I thought you said non-reoccurring capital.
I meant debt.
Oh,
I meant debt.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, it's meant
That's
debt.
So I feel good about our town, the way it's grown, the revenue side of our town, the way it's grown, positive things that are happening, businesses are moving in. We've had 4 consecutive years of that kind of a growth. And even though it's a reval, we've got this big jump. I'm confident we can get it where it needs to be. And as far as having a referendum sooner instead of later, I think that's the most transparent way. So I go to vote for my budget. I know it's already in there. I know what I'm voting for. That's all.
Right, and it's really the only, according to our policy, the only way to be able to, if we wanted to use an overage to lower that debt, it's got to be in the budget. How much, just so I know that we other expenses seem to be expanding. We do have a lower capital budget this year because of using our fiscally smart use of the undesignated fund overage in October. You guys knocked off 667,000 over 3 years.
A document that I can't really disclose at this moment till March 2nd or 3rd. We're 41.97% decreasing the capital budget, which is $316,466.
What's the decrease?
41.97% decrease.
So to Bob's point, we don't know what we don't know at this point. And, we are, I think, as your Board of Finance, I told everybody that's come here it's with this reval year and everyone nervous that, you better be prepared for questions on your budgets, particularly if you're asking for more.
Mike, just from a point of order, is it the Board of Finance tonight that actually votes to send it to a referendum?
Correct.
Or not the referendum?
No, to town meeting. They send it back to you
So
to
Board of
call a town
Finance or
meeting.
Board of Selectmen? You send it back to us?
Send it back to us, and then we have to call for town meetings.
Correct.
Okay. So is there someone from the Board of Finance that wants to make that motion?
I plan to, I just was,
Oh, okay, sorry. I just didn't know if anybody else had any other questions. It's 20 after 9. We're going to be losing people soon. And I don't want to rush things, but we've been talking about this for years, not months, years. So I'm just looking for some type of movement.
to move the question of funding $1 million plus interest and fees back to the Board of Selectmen to call for a town meeting.
I second it.
We're still in discussion at this point.
So for me to move the needle on my thing, I'm having heartburn over this yearly ask that is going to end up coming down. And I got a feeling it's going to be a big number. So I'm here for another 6 years. I want, as long as we're holding this note, the library's line item to be frozen at the current amount. As long as this town is holding that note, it should be held flat. If we're going to hold the note, they have to have some skin in the game on this. We can't be holding, if this is going to go 8 years, they're going to be at $100,000 for the next 8 years.
Why for the next 8 years if we heard the discussions that both our boards have had, and what I think that I heard at the hearing was that the goal is to take the $1 million out and then use the overage per policy,
which is
for the
not
undesignated, to pay it off sooner. So why would it be
So it could be-
frozen for 8 years?
Well, it could be, I use that as a hypothetical. I'm saying,
as long as
we are holding, like I said, as long as we're holding the note, it will be frozen. It could be 2 years. It could be 1 year. It could be the full 10. As long as this town is holding that note.
So I don't see why we would have to do that, because ultimately they can ask for what they think they need. And the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance can deny it. So why would we enter into some type of an agreement?
No, I'm just
that would
saying,
freeze it?
I'm saying.
Because we can vote no right now to not send it back to you.
Yeah, that would be, you and I know that we disagree.
But
That would be a huge
because
disservice
that's
to the
what we're
town.
talking about, and that's what we could potentially.
And that's what I'm
do.
saying. I'm here for the next 6 years. I'm going to, if this is how it's going to be, and we're here, sitting here in year 5, and we still haven't paid that off, I'm going to say the first thing, we're going to cut the library down to $100,000. And us
You can
as
ask that, yeah.
yeah, we can. Yeah. And I will be the first one to bring it up every single time. So just announcing that, just so there's not a big shock.
No, it's fine. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a,
I'm not muted.
Because I think we're going to be sitting here 3-4 years from now, and it's going to be 300. They're asking to be $300,000. I'm telling you.
Well, so, I mean, full disclosure, that has.
Yeah, I
been a
got you.
discussion-
Hold
that
on a
has-
second. Go ahead.
That has been a discussion point a number of times on this board, is that the operating expenses are going to be a lot higher due to
It's gonna be
all of the
higher.
changes and the change in the utilities and that. So we have raised this concern a number of times.
Absolutely. And I think, to Dan's point, I think we all understand, ultimately, because this is on a governmental side, it's not just a Board of Selectmen decision, it's a Board of Finance decision. And should there be additional asks, where there will certainly be said, don't you recall us talking 2 years ago or 3 years ago that it's 100? It's 100, it's 100, no more. And I think that's not an unreasonable thing to ask Dan, and as they've done already here, they've maintained their ask at 100. So that's, and to Nicole's point, we have ultimate authority over that. So, but I hear you.
Okay.
Any other discussion for the question, for the motion at hand?
Lou's online, remember?
Lou, please.
So do we make that as a condition of going back to the selectmen, or as a condition of doing that for the town meeting?
Yeah. I don't know. It can't happen. I don't think legally it can happen, and I think it's an
just an
understanding.
We're just looking at an understanding that that's what it would be.
I would say that's the case.
Okay.
Anyone else? All right, well, I'm gonna do this as a poll.
We have a motion though.
What? Yeah, I'm polling you for a motion for the vote.
You're gonna straw poll and then you're gonna.
I'm not straw polling. Lou, what's your vote? Yes or no?
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you asking me that, Mike?
Yeah.
I'm a yes.
Okay. Sarah?
Yes.
Okay. Ed?
I'm a yes.
Winona?
I'm a very hesitant yes.
I'm a no.
I'm a yes. Motion carries 5-1.
Mike, I got one question for the library. It's nothing to do with what we just talked about. There's some concerns that some of the residents, which you probably already heard, would like to come see your how your plans are, what you guys are doing as far as your equipment and your layout of schedules. Is there any way you could set that up so that people from the town could come in and look at that before they get to vote? That would be the only quick. Okay.
Did you have something on your own site for what you presented to us on the 15th of October? Okay.
We do have information about the We do have information on our website under plans for Wheeler Library's future. It mostly says capital campaign and just explains where the funding is coming from, which everyone knows here, and also has a few renderings and just an explanation of kind of highlights of the project. But you know, if someone's interested, please, we can put something together for them to see some more details.
Okay.
And maybe just like randomly thinking about things, because Carl said so, it might be as if and when things progress, that you hold like regular office hours, so people could maybe just drop in.
Absolutely. We can just kind of have something put together and no one will need to make an appointment. They can just come and take a look.
Just to be clear, this is a going vehicle to a referendum. We'll go to a town meeting, which the library will be on hand to answer questions.
Correct.
And I agree, Carl, if there's a space in the library on the second floor somewhere, you could set up a set of plans and be able to answer questions if people want to come in and view those things. I think that'd be great way to go.
Yeah.
But we'll have the town meeting. We haven't called it yet. We're going to have a special meeting tomorrow to call it. There was 2 questions on tonight's meeting, this one and the next one, before we knew what the call was going to say.
Right. Right.
Am I permitted to ask a question?
Sure.
I'm always curious about the format, about the March 2nd format. So will we be presenting in a similar way to the public hearing, or will we just be available for questions?
I would say if you wanted to do some sort of a presentation, probably wouldn't have been, yours is the only question not being voted on that evening.
Okay.
Very similar to the budget. It's going to say that question is going to referendum. There's 4 other questions on the town meeting. Could be 3, but right now there's 4. And those would be voted on that evening, but your question is the last question.
Okay.
And it would be discussed, and then no matter what the discussion is, it's going to go to a referendum.
Okay.
I reading the tea leaves, maybe some more schematics
Yeah, I was gonna say.
and
'cause there'll be a lot of
details on,
questions For people that
on,
want to know. Give
Noted.
them some more pictures of what's actually gonna happen, how, what you're gonna use for equipment and oddball stuff like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Gonna make it work.
all right, so we're done with agenda item number 6. On to agenda item number 7, the appropriation request for Three Wise Women in America 250th
So my,
celebration, yes?
yeah, sorry. I just, because I'm on the board of Three Wise Women and this is an appropriation, I would like to recuse myself from the discussion and the vote.
Okay. So I will appoint Carl to your spot. We were only down to you, buddy.
Yeah. As soon as it gets that line. So Mike, did you call, I'm sorry, did you call number 7 appropriation request?
I did.
I'm sorry, I was talking. I shouldn't have been. So, number 7, appropriation request, Three Wise Women. You have a copy of the request in your packet tonight. Basically, it's a, funds to support an American 250 celebration on June 27, 2026, rain date June 28th. Appropriation request not to exceed $30,000. I will say that the Board of Selectmen voted 3-0 last night to send this to the Board of Finance, but there was a caveat to it. We asked that the beer tent, beer/wine tent would be removed. The only way there'd be alcohol on site would be through a vendor similar to an ice cream truck that sells drinks. They had that at the Frights and Lights, but we did not want to have the wholesale selling of alcohol at the venue. And last night, the representation from Three Wise Women agreed to take it off their plan.
Okay. I think that was probably a wise move on all counts. So I'm just gonna make a motion to move the appropriation request for not to exceed $30,000 to the Board of Selectmen to call a town meeting.
I'll second that.
Now we're in discussion. Thank you, Dan.
Just clarification on how the donations will offset the town funds, please.
That would be done by a representative from Three Wise Women, correct?
Actually, I'll jump on that same question. What is the mechanism to collect? Because if we have a $30,000 backing from the town, right?
Yeah, so.
Are they collecting, the town collecting it?
So here's the thing
Yeah,
is,
there you go.
so we're gonna have a, up to $30,000.
Yep.
If it's approved, we'll put that money, appropriate that money into the invisible bucket. That we put money in when we appropriate it. And then in order for them to retrieve any of that money, they would have to bring an invoice to town. Shows what the invoice was for. We'd sign off and it gets signed by 2 selectmen and the treasurer, as all checks do. And that's how that fund of $30,000 would go down. They would then, when they collected sponsorships, that would allow that $30,000 not to be spent because now they can be paying out of those sponsorships. Ultimately, if they could get $30,000 in sponsorships, it'd be net zero to the tax to the residents. But we're notified in the last meeting of the $6,500 that the town did use in an appropriation 2007, which is probably real money today, about 12 to 13,000. I'd say, here we are 17 years later. If they can even collect 18,000, it gets us down to what we actually appropriated back in 2007. I would ask a representative from the Three Wise Women to talk about that part of it.
Sure.
See, I knew you were allowed to come up.
Yeah.
You gotta push it, bro. Black one on the bottom.
No.
No. Big button.
Speak. Yes? Okay. Three Wise Women will
No.
be sending out sponsorship requests to businesses and families in town. People will be able to sponsor at whatever level they are comfortable with. They will be making the checks out to Three Wise Women. It will be a tax deductible donation, and we will just be keeping track of everything we get. So what we were saying is that a lot of the vendors and a lot of the bills that we have to pay, that those are going to be due, 30 days, 45 days before the event. But if people are still like, we'll take money a day before, you know what I mean? We're just going to keep very meticulous records. And if the town is owed reimbursement, we will reimburse the town.
Thank you.
Jen, I have a quick question. So in looking at the sponsorship opportunities, there's like this. So looking at these sponsorship opportunities, there's a lot of different cool events. Is there also just a normal donation that people can make that are in support of this?
Yeah. We
If it
kind
wants
of,
to be passed with, there is like, if someone wants to donate $5, $10, $20 instead of the $1,000.
yeah, absolutely. That's actually something that we're working on. What I gave you was like a second draft. We've since refined it a little bit. Sarah has been working on a donation page on our website where you can literally donate 5, 10, 50 bucks, whatever you want to. So yeah, that's not like a basement level. You could do anything.
Do the larger sponsors get recognition?
They do. Yeah. I don't know if you have it in your packet, but the everyone gets some kind of recognition. Obviously, the promotion of the larger, it gets larger as
you go.
Yeah.
What do you want my packet now too? Carl? Is there other organizations that are planning things is there a coordination with any other organizations, and is this is there a conflict between any other events going on?
Like, are you referring to the Historical Society?
Maybe just a birdie out there.
Yeah. So we are going to be working with them. Actually, I'm pretty excited for how the two events are going to complement each other. The Historical Society starts earlier in the day. It has a much more historical educational component. And then later in the day, what Three Wise Women is planning is, quite frankly, more of just a party atmosphere: food, drinks, socialization, neighbors, music, that sort of thing.
Okay.
I did have one townsperson ask me that, like you just said, party going on. Would you be able to incorporate some of the stuff like the Historic Society is doing, just to keep in theme of the 250-year thing?
We're open to pretty much anything. Absolutely. So right now we have a pretty high level outline for what we want the day to look like, but we are inviting anyone who would like to participate. So absolutely.
Okay, so maybe advertise that a little bit. All right, yeah, we could.
Yeah, for sure.
And I apologize. I was remiss during the correspondence. We had a correspondence from Sarah Valancourt with some good questions to ask. One of them, which was that historical, whether or not there were other events. So I apologize for not bringing this up earlier in correspondence.
Mike,
Yeah.
just FYI, Sarah was able to attend last night's Board of Selectmen meeting, asked a lot of questions, and I think got a lot of answers from.
Okay, good. No,
Jen.
thank you. I appreciate that.
So I have been seeing a lot on social media that towns are announcing their dates for like full day events, weekend events, like all around like the end of June, July, the whole thing. So I feel like the whole country is going to be partying from about like the middle of June to the middle of July. So we can't miss out on this. I think we'll be a bunch of sore losers, but Is there going to be a parade? Like, is there a parade at all between the two?
There is. The
Planned?
Historical Society is planning a parade earlier in the day.
Okay, so
I, for once, am not.
Yeah. I think they have like up to 7, possibly 9 fife and drum
Oh, wow.
corps that are coming to march.
that seems to be the big thing is the towns are all doing different parades. So don't drive anywhere on like any of those weekends.
Yeah.
Seems to be the big theme.
I'll ask a question. Like the fireworks, is that gonna be held here right around Route 2, or is it gonna be held at the fairgrounds or?
It's not confirmed yet, but the best area that we have found for the fireworks is behind the school where the old track is.
Okay.
It has to be, I forget exactly, a couple 100 feet away from any livable dwelling. And that piece of property checks all those boxes.
Okay.
John, if this gets approved, I'd like to have a meeting in March. Because this would be the largest event we've had, not counting the fair, but that's a different event. But it would be ambulance, fire marshal, EMD, troopers, Department of Public Works, and myself, and obviously you, to get to the logistics, the parking, the hours we needed, if we're closing road, not closing road. So I think March would give us about 3.5 to 4 months. But I think if this does get approved, I think we need to look forward to having that type of a meeting, just to make sure that we do this right.
I agree. Yes. I don't think school is in session at that point. By June 27, I'm pretty sure they're done for the year. Yes.
So this would be, if we vote yes to move it back to the Board of Selectmen, there's going to be a town meeting on March 2nd where the vote is actually going to take place. So there's always concern that is there going to be enough representatives of this town electorate to be there to accurately reflect, what the townspeople want to do or not do. And we really don't have control over that. So I would just, for anyone watching out, if there are people that do not want to have this done, then that is going to be your chance to say no. And it's not going to go to referendum. So you have to be at that meeting.
I think the nice thing is that unlike regular town meetings, when there's really kind of boring work to be done and voted on, the library will draw, I think, a large audience. So I think this is another, big ask of using taxpayer money. I do think we'll probably get a lot more attending this March one than
I agree
in some past years, which is nice.
Has there been any I don't know, finger on the pulse of do a lot of people in town really want a big party? I'm just asking, the best thing is to have a party with a lot of people, but the worst thing is to have a party with no people.
I agree.
And I'm just wondering, is there a lot of people showing a lot of interest, hey, we'll do something in the morning, we'll go home, relax, and everything, we'll go and watch a great band, have some food and everything, and watch some fireworks.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm the most neutral person to get a pulse on that, because I feel like the people who I talk to and who are going to talk to me about that are pretty excited for it. So I'm inclined to say yes. I hope that's accurate.
Okay.
I mean, just basing it on Frights and Lights last year, this past October, I thought it was huge.
I agree.
I thought it was huge. And that's just a Halloween.
So refresh my memory, is this limited to only town? I couldn't remember.
We
Is
had
it
that
open
same
to everybody? I
conversation
couldn't
last
remember
night.
that.
So it is open to everybody, similar to Frights and Lights. I don't have a way to limit it to just North
Yeah.
Stonington because it's not ticketed and there's
Correct.
limitless entry points.
Yep.
I think it's pretty safe to say, just basing it off of Frights and Lights, that it is majority townspeople, and that there are some out of towners.
Yep.
But even I would say at least half the out of towners have some connection to town. They were invited by friends or they have relatives here. So I don't have a way to limit it, but I think it's safe to say majority of townspeople.
I think my sister would claw her way in from Voluntown.
She is welcome to come.
Anything further?
Yeah,
Sure, we can.
I'm Sabrina Bueller. So in this past summer is the first time I heard that anything was being planned for our 250 celebration. I've worked with Jen and members of the Three Wise Women on fundraisers for the library, and I was very excited to hear what they had planned and very interested as well. There was an informational meeting in August, but then I didn't really hear anything more. I was more looking at an historical event for our town. That being said, I listened to Jen's presentation 2 weeks ago, and I have some questions. First, because we're worrying about budgets right now, I was wondering if the Grange would be a better venue to have it, because it would eliminate the cost of the stage. It's got a covered stage there at the Grange, at the fairgrounds. It has bathrooms. It will, you can monitor who's coming in. There's 2 different entrances. So if you're worried about crowd control, there's gates there. A lot of parking. Sorry, I had and the noise from the neighbors, because because it wasn't going in the historical end, I'm working with the Historical Society. They're having 7 fife and drum corps. That's going to be a lot for the people who live near the library and the Historical Society. So by moving this to the Grange, I feel like that would kind of give the people who live close by a little bit of rest from the noise. So I just didn't know if that could be a consideration. I know they'd have to work with the fair committee as well, because it's so close, but that was my biggest question. And my other was, if you had a budget, like, or a wish for how much sponsorship money would go, because I think that would help the townspeople. If you could come into that meeting saying, we've acquired X amount of dollars, like funding, and if you have any additional ways that you are going to try to raise money, would that go back to the town? So those are my questions.
Real quick, as far as the Grange or the fair, if you're going to decide to try that, you need to see the Grange and make sure they're available. I do know the fife and drums are going to have a breakfast in the morning at the Grange Hall.
Mhm.
And I believe that's fine. And part of that parking is only for the fair that's in the backside. So it would
Right.
only be out front.
Yeah, I did, because I am part of many nonprofits, one being a race that we have at the Grange. I did have to talk to Robert today about that date. And because of the fife and drum corps, I asked, and he said they would be open to discussing it with
Yeah,
Jen.
you just
So-
need
Yep.
to go see them at the
Yep.
Grange first and then, okay, thank you.
That was something that we considered, holding it up at the Grange and the fairgrounds, but we ultimately realized that it was going to be too big of an ask to get them or ask them to have the fairgrounds ready 3 weeks earlier than when the fair would be happening. I've watched the volunteers for years now. I haven't been able to participate as much as I would like, just work so hard day in and day out. And it seemed like too much of an ask. So it is a great idea, but ultimately we decided it wasn't going to work for practical reasons. In terms of fundraising, sorry, I'm tired. It's been a very long day. They have had fireworks there before. Yes. So there's some other logistics. It's not quite as easy as just, shifting locations. That's a consideration as well. In terms of fundraising, we are not able to officially start soliciting sponsorships and donations yet until we know whether or not we have been approved by the town. What we didn't want to do was start sending out letters asking for money and then say it does not pass a town vote and then look bad and need to return money. So we're holding off on that. Obviously, there is no guarantee of how much we'll receive, but we're pretty optimistic that we could probably get 5. We're really hoping for 10. I think we might be able to get more than that. But of course, we can't say for sure. Is that all your questions? Okay, this one.
Any other proceeds? Because I know last night was brought up with the wine sales with
Mhm.
the Three Wise Women.
Yep.
That's out. but I saw there's an item for t-shirts. Are you selling t-shirts? Are they going to volunteers?
So we would like to have volunteer t-shirts. I
You
think.
need to use a mic.
Thank you.
For questions. Can you ask, like,
Oh,
repeat your
she
question?
asked if there was another way that we're thinking about fundraising or potentially bringing in money. I'm not sure if we're going to sell t-shirts. It's not out. It's definitely something that we've discussed, and I do think it would be a nice moneymaker, but we would like our volunteer. There it is. Were you able to hear what I said? Okay. So speaking.
Okay.
We had other questions? Yep. Yes, please.
I'm Barbara Deindorfer, 334 Grindstone Hill Road. I was actually at the meeting last night and had a bunch of questions last night, so I won't go through all of those again. But just in terms of what Sabrina
How
said
about?
about, sorry,
Yeah.
about
How about you
asking the
stand out here in the middle so she can address you and. Or just.
Jen to stand over
Or
there.
just
Jen-
hold the mic like this if you want.
Okay. Okay. Just in terms of the Grange being in more optimal, more optimal location in terms of safety and being able to keep people confined so people aren't in the street. You don't have to close the road. You can regulate how many people are coming in or out. The bathroom's already there. You already have a covered stage. All of those costs come off. Why not just ask them? I mean, it would, and my thinking is too, is that I think if the costs were already under 20 grand, you don't even have to go to a vote. If you get your cost under 20, these guys can just decide. It doesn't even have to go to a vote. So from the terms of, worrying about people coming in from all angles of Route 2 and around the school or in the road and the effect of noise along and traffic along the residential area there, or traffic along Route 2 and people are trying to get in and out. My whole question last night was, how many people do you foresee coming to this event? We haven't had fireworks, like a big thing of fireworks and a band and this whole thing. Like if the Frights and Nights is pulling in 22 or 2,400 people, I'm sorry if I got the number wrong, there's very well could be over 5,000 people here. And that's a town-sponsored mass gathering that you have to take all those safety precautions into consideration. I mean, Bob already mentioned that you guys are all going to meet and that has to be done. But if you can put it in a location where you can cut down your cost and make it a safer place to do this, why not just make the ask? I mean, that makes sense to me. The other question was, and I'm sorry, I don't know your name. You made the question about $5 and $10 donations to their nonprofit. Do you have it, or will you have it set up so that those $5 and $10 donations that go specifically to your nonprofit are separated from the money that you're going to take?
You lost the mic again. I think it's dead.
There we go. I pushed it again. Will that be clearly separated from the money that you're taking in for sponsorships for the event? So that can easily be delineated. Yes, we got in $1,500 for that. That $1,500 comes off of, I think it's working. I think.
Battery.
The battery says 100%.
The $1,500 comes in from that, comes off the 30. Is it, because you don't want to confuse, and I know you're a new nonprofit, so you don't want to confuse those two things. The $5 and $10 donations that are going specifically to support your nonprofit should be different than the money that's coming in to offset the cost of this event. Right? Okay. Those are my only two comments. Thank you.
Yes, all of our donations will be very clearly organized, so we'll be all set up for that. The discussions for the fairgrounds were discussions that have already happened off the record. I have no problem doing a more official discussion with them. I'm fine with that. I do not think that tonight is the appropriate night to talk about chopping $10,000 out of a already established budget that's gone through several rounds of meetings. But if it does happen that it just works out with the fairgrounds and we end up moving it up there, then the town's expenses will be less and we're still not exceeding $30,000.
Yes.
Sorry. Catherine Edwards. Oh, shoot.
It's on. Pull it down 3 months.
I know, but I live in Stonington. Am I allowed to ask a question?
What's that?
Yeah, I don't think I can ask a question. I live in Stonington, correct?
Yeah. Not that we don't love our southern neighbors. Yes,
You've been quiet.
I know.
You've been quiet.
Brian, you get 2 minutes.
And $30.
$30.
All right, well anyways, it's supposed to be, from what I understand, a celebration of our Declaration of Independence. And the signers of the Declaration of Independence, in fact, I think one of them was John Adams. And he stated that I think every year the United States should celebrate that moment. And I hope we don't forget that. Now people can say, oh, we should have it here, have it there. Well, Jen was asked. She didn't have to take on this project. And this isn't her first rodeo either. She's done a lot of good, big projects. She's aware of all that goes on. So I put my trust in her as far as the whole scenario. You're going to have people, they're going to be celebrating. And I think they'll be celebrating to a point, not to a fall down drunken celebration. But I think they're going to celebrate the Declaration of Independence of the United States of America. So let's not get all these other things involved where let the person that's running it take care of it. Thank you.
Thank you, new Brian. Have any other comment? I'd like to, we still have public comment at the end for any other discussions that you want to have. Anything online for? No? Okay. Any further discussion amongst the Board of Finance? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Lou, do you have, can you?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you. Aye.
Okay. Motion passes 6-0.
No, wait, did Carl? Okay.
No, Carl's in.
All right.
Mike, we're both second we're adjourning the meeting, so I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the Board of Selectmen meeting.
A second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Can we table the next few items?
Well, here's, before you go, Bob, I'll just let you know, on policies, I was remiss, we have a memorandum of understanding from the Board of Finance on nonprofits that I was supposed to get to you. I sent a draft to Dan, and with the presentation for the Wheeler and vacation I spaced, it'll be on your desk tomorrow. It's just what we would like to see with regard to you vetting nonprofits. Okay. And I still owe you, I will send you at the same time, my signed copy of our undesignated fund policy that was revised recently and approved by everybody to go forward. I have it. minutes, we have what, two things in minutes to approve? Right?
Yeah, so there's minutes from September 3rd that they were sent out from before. Can we make a motion to approve those minutes?
Which ones?
September 3rd,
Yeah.
2025.
When did that email go out?
Before the last meeting, Antoinette would like those approved if possible.
Okay.
Someone wants to make.
So wait, where can we find those in our email?
Yeah, there's an email, February 4th.
They've been posted as well. They just haven't been approved by us.
There's an.
It's September 3rd was the.
Is it in?
Is it? Oh, no.
The minutes themselves are from?
It was from earlier this month. The one I sent out today was. The last meeting.
Okay, so
Yeah, I don't see them in there.
I don't know where those minutes are from.
The email actually came from Antoinette to us.
All right, so let's do this.
Okay, I'll look because I have my computer. So let me
Okay.
look for, you're saying that the email came from Antoinette?
I believe so.
Okay, let me look.
They are posted on the town website right now, though.
But we didn't approve them?
Yeah, it's a draft from before I came on as on the Board of Finance. I just somehow they never got approved per Antoinette. So she was hoping we could approve those tonight.
We can just go on our starting TT.
You can just go on on the town website.
September, what?
September 3rd, 2025.
Does anybody not know how to find it? Because you got to go to government and then Board of Finance and then scroll all the way down to minutes and then go back a page, like see more, and it'll give you 20, 25 minutes.
Okay, minutes, yeah, got it.
John, somebody's got to lock the front door.
September 3rd, you said?
Yeah, September 3rd, 2025.
Yeah, we got it.
I have them if anybody needs them.
Oh. Sarah, you were not present.
Yeah. And these are from Amy. I don't.
They just messed it up.
Yeah, they're important because that's when we voted for 700,000 to be earmarked for the present capital plan.
We could table this.
No, I got it.
No,
We
this is-
found them. Now
Yeah.
we're gonna do them.
Yep.
I'm just surprised that we did not review these. This is surprising.
So September 3rd. All right. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes on September 3rd, 2025 as written.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Sarah's abstaining. All right, so it passes 5-0-1. 9-3. All right, back to minutes that. So you have minutes from 1:26:26, right?
Mhm.
There's 2 minutes.
Right, in the last email, right?
We just have to be mindful when we do these minutes, we have to put the header and everything on it.
Yeah.
Dan, it's funny you say that. The reason these didn't get approved was because there was no header. And I did not add that. So we're gonna have to table that.
Well, 220,
On 121.
oh, I didn't look at that one.
There's no header on it.
Yeah, both of these don't have headers.
Meaning the logo? Oh. or the
No,
whole
it's gotta
thing?
have the, it's
Yeah,
gotta
with
have
the
when you
Zoom.
start.
Yeah, okay.
All that good stuff.
All right, well, let's table these.
All right.
We have a meeting March 2nd, and that's when we have our bang, bang, bang twice
No,
a week.
Okay, so
Fun
I have a question about
times.
that. March 2nd is a Monday?
Yeah.
So we're meeting on a Monday? That's the town
Yes.
meeting? That's the
It
town
is,
hearings.
I
What-
thought about that
what do we
and
Can use.
I meant to bring that up tonight. I think we're gonna cancel that March 2nd meeting.
I like that.
And just meet on the 4th?
Yes.
What's for the 4th? What is,
That's May the 4th be with you. What?
what is the 4th? The 4th
that's
is
May
the
4th.
Board of Selectmen present to the Board of Finance.
Yeah, what was, what, I can't even speak.
We did special meetings every Monday
Oh, that's,
during March. That's why we did
This
that.
is, this is the whole Board of Ed thing where
yeah,
we kicked and
but we don't have anything on we don't even have an agenda for March 2nd on our budget calendar.
because it's a town meeting. We don't account for the town meetings on these.
No, but he's saying we added Mondays to every
No,
week.
not that Monday.
It's on our meeting schedule.
Yeah, but it's not on the schedule.
No.
Yeah.
it's not.
So we don't
It's one
have
of
an
those-
agenda
We don't
for it.
necessarily, well, yeah, we don't necessarily have a,
Like nobody's presenting to us.
correct.
No.
So if we skip it, it'd be
No problem.
Correct.
So because there's going to be a town meeting, we're going to skip that March 2nd meeting. So I'll send a cancellation thing out,
And so it would be the 4th,
be the 4th.
and that's when Board of Selectmen is presenting to us.
Yeah. Everyone hear that?
Okay.
Right now, on our yearly calendar, we have March 2nd as the next meeting. Because the town meeting is going to be that same night, we're going to cancel the 2nd and just meet on the 4th. And if you look at our budget calendar, do we do any Mondays on here?
Oh, yeah, a bunch of them.
Okay,
It starts the following Monday, the 9th
Okay.
is when we added all
all right,
the
good.
Mondays.
At least we have something on the budget one. All right, so we'll table those those minutes until the next meeting. Public comment. Brian.
It's more of just, I know I'm gonna have to say it at the selectmen's meeting, but they all left. So, when the officer was up here talking about the flock, and it sounds like he wants to put them over by 95, 184, or by the truck stop. The thing I can't get over in my head, where the state comes down with something like this and ask a town to fund it, state's got a lot of money that they just spend. And that's our tax dollars too. So I don't know why are they even asking us? I hope you take that into consideration when it comes to you, because I'm sure it's going to come to you through the budget. To me, he mentioned about, I think it was $3,000 for a unit, and there's 1,100 for software. Well, yeah, so that'll be a constant. And who's to say this? Oh, our software is going up. You know how our phones are, they go up all the time. I got a feeling it'd be about the same thing.
Those are good points.
So anyways, I want to bring it up to you, and I'll bring it up to the selectmen at their meeting too.
Okay.
Because you know me.
I hear you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Brian. Yours? Yours? Yes. Ogden, haven't seen you in so long. How are you?
Awesome. How you doing, Mike? Ogden Carroll, Asset Lake Road. Couple of comments I want to make. One is relative to the flock cameras. The numbers the trooper was throwing out just didn't make sense. I mean, you look it up online, it's not 3,000 for the unit, then 3,000 per year. So I think just they owe some more information, some more defined numbers.
Absolutely. I was thinking the same thing after the presentation, to be honest.
And while I'm not against the firemen, I think you made the comment that their numbers don't add up. If they're doing $29 an hour now during day shift on weekdays, it's not going to suddenly be $21 an hour, including weekends and nights and holidays. It doesn't make sense. If you do that same $29 an hour, it comes out to 510 grand, which is way more than the 420 they're saying. So again, I'm not comfortable. While I want to support it, I don't support it with the numbers that they were throwing out there because I don't think they're real. And I'm just concerned that they're going to get approved and then the number is going to be something different. And that concerns me.
Yeah.
So,
well taken.
thank you.
Appreciate you waiting around this whole time for that. No, I know. I appreciate it.
So, just a quick comment. On Monday, March 9th, I will be out of town. I will not be able to join that meeting. So that's when we are discussing the Board of Selectmen budget. So I will send comments around. What's the best way to do that? Just send an email to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll send my email because we'll get it the week before. So I'll send any comments I have by email, but I will not be able to join at all. I can't even dial in.
And on the 4th, I probably be away also, so I'll probably Zoom in.
That's fine.
If available.
Yeah, I will not be able to Zoom in. I will not be available for the 9th meeting at all. So.
All right, just if you're not gonna, then just you can text me and say I'm not gonna be able to Zoom it, and then you can assign somebody that you want.
And we're not meeting on that following Wednesday. I just want to make sure I understand the meeting. So are we meeting on the 11th or did we just pick up Mondays?
Give me 1 second.
I think we pick up Mondays.
So our meeting schedule for March is March 2nd, March 4th, March 9th, March 16th, March 18th, March 23rd, March 30th.
Okay, so we just picked up Mondays. Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody. It was a long meeting, but you know, this happens.